In 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike G, the GforGuzman podcast is truly, I mean truly, in the presence of greatness tonight. Hector Guzman, man. Hector, a.k.a. Tito Guzman. Thank you so much for being here, my brother, man. Crazy time we're living in, man. Honestly, we were like racing against time, racing against weather. We were about to cancel this podcast, but the gods were on our side tonight, man.
Well, I live here, so I really didn't have an option.
You had no option. Honestly, for those who are watching, obviously, if you live in the Houston area, there's a fucking tropical storm about to, blow all these neighborhoods away, supposedly, But, thank you so much for being here, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Obviously.
Yep.
For those who are watching, Johnny G, my brother Jonathan Guzman, couldn't be here tonight. Like I said last episode, he got abducted by aliens, so he's probably being probed as we speak, up in space somewhere, but, R.I.P. Johnny, no. He's taking an economic exam or something like that. I don't know what's going on. But no, man, again, thank you so much for being here. Honestly, I said it before on a few of the podcasts, for those who watch the podcast, obviously, that whenever you take on a new endeavor or, you're getting out of your comfort zone, it's always going to be daunting a little bit just when you're trying something new, right? And it's not even so much daunting. It's so much that there's always going to be those doubts that you play in your head, like, oh man, should we keep going? I really don't see the the progress of all this. There's times where you want to just fucking call it quits and like,
absolutely.
Hey, let's just turn the lights off on it, and we had a good run. Let's just go home, And honestly, this podcast has been there for sure. And one of the best moments, honestly, dude, is when you reached out to me and you told me like, hey man, when's the next episode? Yeah. And you have no idea how much that just boosts your morale. Like, goddamn, my cousin Hector. Yeah. Badass dudes reaching out saying he watches the episodes, like, let's do another one, man. Let's do another one. So honestly, dude, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your support. Glad to have you here, man. Glad to have you here.
I'm proud of you guys. It's not easy. It takes some, excuse my language, but it takes some balls to do something like this. I know a lot of us, we watch podcasts left and right, and we all may think we can do it to some extent, but for y'all to actually sit down, get all this together, and actually sit down with your brothers and post it online, it's an awesome thing.
Yeah, man. No,
I'm a true fan. I've watched every single one.
I know you have, because we've had like little get-togethers where he tells me like, "Hey, man, on last episode y'all talked about this," and I'm like, "Goddamn, he's really watching it," So it's awesome, man. I was talking to Brianna before the show, and she was telling me, that's so awesome that you guys are doing a podcast. I see them coming up left and right. So for you guys to actually, join that, that little circuit, whatever, is awesome. And I was telling her, I was like, yeah, man. I was like, we're living in a crazy time right now. Everybody has so much free time right now because of 2020. My God, what a fucking year it's been. But 2020 is obviously giving us a platform to talk about, we have a lot of free time, bottom line. So we did this podcast, and here we are, bottom line, right? So thank you so much again, like I said, for being here, man. And I know Mike was really, really appreciative when I told you Hector was going to come on the podcast.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. Like he said, like, you're somebody we definitely look up to. So for you to say, hey, man, like, when's the next show? Just anybody in the family, really, that's, showing support and really keeping up with it, to us, that means a lot. Yeah. I say me, I do jump in, but it was really Matthew and Jonathan with the idea and kind of took it off. So now me and Mandy kind of filled those gaps, and we're here. Now we kind of look forward to it, right? Nothing else, man. Like, we have a good time doing it all the time. So
man, it's all about
we'll be able to look back one day and be like, God damn, I used to think that way. I was a fucking idiot.
Hey, regardless, it's you're making some really great
good memories, right?
Yeah. Whether it's 1 view or 1 million views, guys, keep at it until the love's out of it. Because just from a fan's perspective, I listen to it before I go to bed. Like, whenever a new episode comes on, I'm like,
he's like, I need something to go to sleep to, so,
No, man, I
man.
Swear to God, I was up. I couldn't sleep last night. I didn't fall asleep till 4 a.m. listening to the podcast with. I forget his name, but your buddy.
Yeah, my buddy David.
But now I'll go to sleep. I'm playing it. Well, I'll get in bed. I'm playing it. Put in one AirPod, and the podcast. It was Mandy, you, Jonathan, and Michael, and y'all were talking about y'all's stories growing up as kids. I'm laughing in the middle of the night, waking up Brianna. She's got to work in the morning. I'm just laughing there. You were telling the story where your dad beat your ass in the parking lot. Or no. The one that really got me was Jonathan running away from school, man. That was, it's awesome. Yeah. It really is.
He's the real OG in the family.
Jonathan, oh, God.
Especially just 2020, you can't see each other. We can't see each other as much as we'd like to. Like, just being able to see y'all through this medium, it's awesome. So
one thing, man, I want to get into is, like, 2020's been like a shit year, right? Like a lot going on. Like I think more than the last 5 years put together. But you got married earlier this year.
I did.
Congrats,
And,
Hector, man.
Congrats.
So,
Beautiful reception,
if-
by the way, man.
If
Beautiful.
you didn't get
venue.
invited to the wedding, you definitely missed out.
Thank you,
But we
guys.
celebrated for you.
I
so
barely got invited.
I barely got invited. But no, so I was gonna go anyway, whether I was invited or not.
Yeah, we had a plan
no,
already.
so you got married earlier this year. So
Yep.
then right after that, coronavirus hits. So
Yep.
like, how's life been, like adjusting with everything going on, and you and your bride living together now, and like, how's that been?
Yeah, man, we have a little running joke that God's really been testing us early on in our marriage. You know,
Yeah, man.
something that goes into the
Yeah.
vows is through through sickness and health, or in sickness and
sickness and
whatever it
health,
is.
man. Yeah.
Man, our honeymoon, like I heard y'all mention the other day, like everyone got sick after
Yeah.
my wedding. I think we're up to like 35 people that we've
Jesus.
counted. We were sick on our honeymoon, so
That makes me feel a little better, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
we-
teasing, I'm
I was
teasing.
sick. We got married that Saturday. We landed in Hawaii Sunday afternoon. We were in our deathbeds by Monday morning. Like, it
Jeez,
was.
man.
We started off rocky.
Yeah.
But no, we had a great time. We took care of each other. You
Yeah.
know, that's easy. You're still
Yeah.
in literally the honeymoon phase. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, with this coronavirus, we just got diagnosed. We tested positive about 3 weeks
Yeah.
ago. So that was another one. I mean, it's just.
God
it-
damn. A
yeah.
rough 20. Not a rough 2020. A very memorable 2020. We were
Yeah.
making the joke before we came on today. I was talking to Brianna about it as well, man. Like, geez, 2020, you guys get married. And like you said, God must be testing you. That's what I was saying, man. He's
Yeah.
going to test our love right now because traditionally, when most people get married, the man and the woman go off to work. So for 12 hours out of the day, besides sleeping when you're at home, but
Yeah.
the actual day, you're away from each other, and then you come home, and then it's easy to be all lovey-dovey, like,
Exactly.
oh, honey, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'm assuming right now, right? Because for
you're
those
right.
watching in this area, I'm the only mother effer who is still single. So please, goddamn, don't look at Hector, don't look at Michael, look at me, please, by the way. Just had to say that real quick.
Yeah.
No, but, like, God must really be testing you guys, man, because how is that? How is that, coming out of a marriage, coming back from the honeymoon, and the world is pretty much ending, I don't know how
It could
soon.
be a positive though, right?
No,
Yeah,
that's
it
what I'm
could be
saying,
a positive.
positive.
It is certain. I'm not gonna say it's been easy. I'm not gonna say it's been all, peachy.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I couldn't be more grateful for it because it's brought us closer together. I mean,
Yeah.
we did our honeymoon. We started off sick.
Yeah.
Whatever. We spent the second half of it. It was great. It was Hawaii. You
Yeah.
can't go wrong.
Yeah.
We get back and her grandmother passes away. And it was
Oh,
just like,
man.
oh, shit. Like, wow.
Condolences
That one
for
hit
sure.
home a little bit. I didn't
Yeah.
know her. I never met her. But, it's your wife's grandmother. I'm very close to my mother-in-law, so she was deeply hurt by it.
Mhm.
So then that happens. And
Condolences
we're
for
literally
sure.
flying back from New York like 3 days before they shut down New York. So that in itself was just
Man,
crazy.
y'all got out.
Were
just
they
in
able to?
time.
Yeah.
Were they able to? Real quick side note, have like a actual funeral?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all that?
Luckily,
okay, God,
they did.
Yeah.
It was right
Thank
in
God.
time. Yeah, it was, and so that was another just boom. Like you're getting married, you get sick, grandmother passes away, then all of a sudden, coronavirus hits. Everything shuts down. People are worried about their jobs. Even like Brianna was kind of. They were saying she's a nurse.
Mhm.
And they're saying, hey, we need y'all to take PTO. We don't have enough patients coming
Yeah.
in. So it's just kind of like, whoa, all of a sudden job security is
Yeah.
thrown
Oh,
into the mix.
man.
And then we get diagnosed with COVID. And
It's
even
been a
after,
tumultuous year to say
Yeah.
the least.
and
right?
through all that, I
Yeah.
mean, just like you were saying, you usually spend these 12 hours apart, come back home.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's nice. Hey, babe,
Yeah,
come here.
exactly.
Let's watch a movie. Da, da, da. But we live in this little apartment, and all of a sudden it goes from, the highlight of your day being, okay, your wife comes home, it turns into, babe, I'm trying to work. Like, leave me
Yeah,
alone.
yeah.
Everyone that knows Brianna, she's a love and she's a social. She never stops talking. She's a social butterfly. But when it comes to like
Brianna.
you're trying to work, it's like, come on, babe. Like,
shut up.
So
Yeah.
it's a real like, it's a hard thing to balance, but we've learned so
Yeah.
much about each other in the last 6 months,
Yeah, man.
5 months. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Exactly.
It's been
Yeah.
rocky, but I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah,
Exactly,
no, that's
man.
good to hear, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, same here. So like I've been working from home since March, and I work from home every now and then already, right? So
Yeah.
now with COVID, I've been home from March, so I've been like mom and dad pretty much because Anna has to go in every day. And then she gets here and like chews my ass out for like, why
Aren't
don't
the fucking dishes
done? What do you
washed?
do? And
Sounds familiar.
I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I work, but She just gives me that stare like, you don't do shit.
Well, I came to Michael's like unannounced one day, and I came home and he was wearing like a fucking apron and like a bandana and all that. I walked in, I saw him, I was like, God damn it, I'm going home, bro. I'm sorry, I can't see this. No, I'm teasing.
So, can't see my brother like this.
Yeah.
No, it's for the last 3.5 weeks after she tested positive. We were forced to quarantine, obviously. She spoiled the hell out of me. Like the breakfast.
Yeah,
in the
I saw a
morning,
couple of Instagrams, bro. I was like, fucking
great.
Tito. Of course
Yeah.
he's gonna come out.
She mentioned something
golden.
about like you like making the virus like prolonging it, bro.
yeah.
I've milked the hell out of
I'm
it.
sick.
She's like, hey,
fucking
Hector,
liar.
it's day 29.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Our moms, they
Tito,
were
it's fucking
cooking, bringing us
2024.
food. It was awesome.
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah.
Your
But-
mom was hooking you up, huh?
My
Oh,
mom, her
badass,
mom,
man.
she was hooking it up. Like, I was spoiled. And now that she's going back to work, it's kind of like, damn, I got to get back to cleaning the dishes and
Right.
walking the dog. Just the
Right.
little things, right?
Yeah.
But,
Well, Brian, if you're out there listening right now, Hector, me, and Mike, obviously, if the viewers can't tell, we're fucking Mexican to the day we die. We come from a very traditional place, so you need to get in check, honestly. You need to start taking care of the, maidly duties, all right? I'm joking, man. I'm
You
joking.
better
She's
hope
probably
her
going to
mom
slap
don't
my
see
ass
this.
after this, Yeah, exactly. No, man, but it brings up an interesting point you had, So you said right now that you and Brianna quarantined for a couple of weeks because you guys both tested positive for COVID.
Yep.
Obviously, we're following CDC guidelines here, guys. We contacted the WHO organization before this, and they said Tito could come on. We're good to go, all right, for those who are watching. No, just joking. But when you got it, well, one, I guess like a two-sided question really quick. When you guys found out you had it, what was like the first feeling you guys went through? Like, was it like, oh, shit, we got it? And then what were the actual symptoms? Because honestly, you guys are the closest people I know who have gotten it, and all I'm seeing are fucking stories on Instagram, social media, and whatnot. So if you guys could just, or if you could tell me a little bit more about it, your experience with that. It'd be
yeah, no,
great.
so it was like a Saturday morning. She went to work, and let me take a step back. Friday night, I was hanging out with Oscar. Oscar didn't feel very well. So obviously
goddamn.
everyone's on edge, and it's like, oh, shit. I'm like, damn,
COVID.
I hope,
Right, he
exactly. That's
sneezes
the first-
once, COVID.
Exactly.
Let's
exactly.
book it.
God damn it, Oscar.
Saturday
God damn it,
morning.
Oscar, if you're watching, I knew it was you.
Yeah. So he wasn't feeling very well, but whatever. We finished the night. We went to bed, whatever. Saturday morning, Brianna goes to work. She texts me about 2 hours into her shift. Hey, I'm not feeling very well. Should I talk to my charge nurse?
And plays the ominous music.
The
right?
whole
Dun,
time,
dun,
Hector's
right.
like, "Are you pregnant?" That's all he's thinking.
Yeah.
Like, shit.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
But I'm the first thing that comes. She's overreacting. Like I love my wife to death.
You
but
girl,
some-
guys, you know girls, blah, blah,
Exactly,
blah, blah,
exactly. When in
all
reality,
so dramatic.
yeah. When
you
I'm-
know?
When in reality, I'm
she
the
comes
big
back,
baby.
right?
Say
She
it
comes
with me,
back and is like,
man.
Hector, I've got COVID. He's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, thank God. I mean, babe, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, man. Continue.
But she texts me, I'm not feeling well, whatever. Go tell your charge nurse. They did the right thing, and they said, hey, we're not going to take any chances. Go get tested, go home. We'll see what the results are tomorrow. Sure enough, results come in tomorrow, positive.
Wow,
And it was just kind of like, I went from stop overreacting to, oh shit, my wife has COVID.
Yeah.
And you just,
Yeah.
because it's such a new disease and no one knows what it was.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like I was a little worried. I was
Yeah, no, for sure.
she was perfectly fine. Like
Yeah,
she didn't have a
exactly.
fever or nothing, but it was just kind of like you see all the horror stories in the news. Like,
Yeah.
damn, I hope that's not my wife. I don't want to be a widow.
Yeah.
For
4 months into
in.
my
Like, it's
marriage.
crazy.
Yeah, come on. Life.
So, but whatever, relax, take a deep breath. Obviously, she's
Assess
not
the
going back to
situation,
work.
yeah.
We got to
take
quarantine,
the proper precautions.
and we're just
obviously.
gonna take it day by day, hour by hour, really. Like,
Yeah,
because the
yeah.
second I was ready, like I had the kind of like the pregnancy bag, right? The
Yeah,
second
yeah.
she breaks her water, let's go.
Yeah,
It was just
yeah.
kind of like the second she starts having trouble breathing, we gotta go.
You had like a pistol in your bag. You're gonna ready to
Ready to
Lassie
go,
her,
man.
right? Like,
Absolutely.
oh Lassie, I love you, but I got to do this for you.
So it turned into just luckily she did great with it. She had a cough here and there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Like, what signs was she showing? I mean,
She had a cough. She lost her sense of smell, her taste.
okay, so that's a real
Yeah,
thing, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I've had a couple of like friends who like, I lost my sense of smell, or like they
Yeah.
know somebody like they say they can't taste or smell anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to call BS on that,
No,
but I
it's-
can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 110. Well,
She
we'll
did.
stick with her. Yeah,
Right,
I brought
yeah.
her tea, and one morning, and I heard, oh shit, and I was like, whoa, what's wrong? What happened?
COVID.
Yeah, I was scared. Like,
Yeah.
what happened? And she's like, I can't taste this. And she was like freaking out, and she couldn't smell it, she couldn't taste it, and so that's a real thing. Like,
Man. Yeah, it's for sure. Yeah, I've heard other people. Yeah, and I figured it was true, right? They wouldn't be saying that if it wasn't. But
which kind of makes sense. I mean, when you have a cold, it's never personally happened to me, but people say you lose your smell a little bit.
When you get the common cold, right, and you get fucking congested, you can't fucking smell, and smell's like a huge part of taste.
Yeah,
they go like hand in hand.
But no, this was legit. Like I had the Vicks vapor up.
Oh, you went full Mexican on her, right, man?
Bro,
yeah, he caught the Lupe over, like, hey.
I know he got it in a damn gift basket somewhere, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't smell it. Like I would put my nose over boiling water to kind of like try to open up.
Oh, this is when you got it though. Okay, so when did you know you got it though? Like immediately, it's like did it click? Like, oh, Brianna has it. I got to go get checked.
Well,
now.
I think you probably thought I'm gonna get it, right?
Yeah. And that wasn't like my coworkers. They're saying, "So what are you gonna sleep in the next room or something?" And it's my wife. Like I'm a relatively healthy dude. Like I'm not gonna leave my wife's side.
I walked in on Tito and Brianna. They were just going at it. I was like, God, damn,
no, bro,
I'll come back later. Put a sign up next time, guys.
She didn't want me touching her. She didn't want me touching her. But
Mike's like, that's marriage, bro.
Yeah.
Hector was on the phone like, is COVID sexually transmitted? The doctor said no, Brianna.
Yeah. And Brianna's like, yes, it is. It is, right? No. So then you got it, right?
I got it maybe. So she got diagnosed on Saturday. The test result came back positive. Her symptoms really got, I would say, bad Monday. Started tapering off on Wednesday, but Wednesday is when like they started kicking in for me. Like I started getting the cough. I had a fever. And the chills hit that Thursday, and that's when it was game over. That's when it's game
over for you, right?
Yeah.
I'm locking out.
Yeah.
Well, see, that just kind of attests to the badass that I got to my left. That his first like initial response when he found out his wife got COVID. If it wouldn't be, well, I'm saying this as a single guy, right? Like if I'm married to someone, I find out she has COVID. It's like, hey, Kurt, like door shuts down. I'm gonna go get tested. If I'm not positive, I'm gonna be chilling over here at my dad's house or something, right?
Yeah.
Your first thing was like, all right, man. Regardless, I'm gonna get it now because my wife has it, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty badass, dude. I think
it's different. Yeah. I mean, me and Brianna, we've been through ups and downs. We've known each other for 9-10 years. I'm brownie points, guys.
I know brownie points. Right? You saw me, I was like, come on,
9-10 years, but she's put up with my shit for the last 9-10 years. So I mean, when I decided to propose to her, it was like, all right, this girl, I'm giving her my all. Like it'll never be anyone else, anything else.
Well, we surely hope so, Hector.
Yeah, well, we surely hope so.
But I would say it's like the same thing to you. Especially, I can't imagine once I have kids, like being the mother of my children. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, Mike, but I mean,
I feel really ostracized in this conversation, guys, because obviously,
you'll get there one day.
No. No, man.
Well, you can't have kids with a guy, dude. I've told you that.
There's gonna be a way, man. There's gonna be a way.
Physically, it can't happen.
Come on, there will be one day, dude.
But no, I mean, going into it, man, like
excelling.
So we have the two kids, right? 13, 11-year-old, be 14, 12.
You and Anna.
Yeah, well, me and Anna, right? So
do we have two kids? No, I'm teasing.
I just like everything, man. It's one of those like you're walking a fine line because people see you out and about wanting to do stuff here 4 months after, and you think, oh, you're a piece of shit dad, taking your kids out.
Yeah.
My thing is like, as long as you're being safe, taking all the precautions. Like, there's no harm in going out if places are open, right?
Yeah.
If they're going to damn me for doing something, they should damn the big companies that are staying open. Like, don't give us an option. And then when we decide to go to your, place of operation, I'm the bad guy. But yeah, no, it's crazy, man. And this.
Well, how many?
Dude,
I know you guys are kind of living more in the heart of Houston right now. I mean, are you guys still going out? What is your experience? Honestly, man, for this past, COVID, whatever. I joke, me, Jonathan, and Mike joke, like, hey, man, if you were a social loser before COVID, you definitely have a great excuse to be a loser now, right? Because everybody has to supposedly stay home and all that. But, I mean, you guys who live, like, right in the hub of Houston, I mean, is it pretty crazy over there, or is it?
So there's still, like, if you want, there's different levels to it.
Yeah.
You have Memorial Park. Everyone, usually goes to run there after work. It's packed still.
Yeah.
Like, if more than anything, there's more people now than there was before.
Yeah.
But see, I don't see that as being so much as a risk factor, right?
Well, yeah, they're telling you to like stay healthy, right? Don't get susceptible to this fucking virus. 'Cause we don't know anything about it.
My thing is like, obviously, you see somebody walking, you're not gonna go walk up to them, start talking to them. Mind your business, man. Go jog, walk.
So I see that as like kind of like a smart risk. Or, I don't know the exact term, but I want to. Yeah, and that's here right now. But that's worth.
You got to do the lesser of two evils,
exactly.
Right? Exactly.
But 10 minutes down the road, you drive through the Heights, and the bars are packed.
Are they?
Oh, dude, it's
Oh,
crazy. Like
shit,
the
man.
week that they opened
Yeah.
it up, I went on a bike ride, by myself on the road bike, and Bungalow Heights. Oh, I probably shouldn't be saying.
Yeah, I know.
probably
right?
shouldn't be saying
He goes,
establishments.
address
but-
6919
So
PO
Bungalow
Box.
Heights was
Oh,
empty,
goddamn.
but there was other bars and restaurants that were just packed to the gills. Like,
I mean, do you see like mass going on or no?
dude, like,
No.
everyone's
Well, let's honestly
and it's young folks.
exactly
it's-
exactly. Let's be a little controversial here, all right? I'll take the
Yeah.
brunt of it right now. This COVID virus.
And you should, because you brought it up.
Yeah, because I brought it up. I was like, yeah, who else is gonna take it? No, this COVID virus, COVID-19. It's a crazy disease. I don't want to act like I'm not sympathetic to all those who are suffering. You know, all
Absolutely.
the hospitals who are being overwhelmed in the ICUs with people who have this disease. It's killing them. I mean, Mom was telling me a couple of weeks ago that she has some really kind of distant cousins who are passing away, and they're ruling it COVID-19. You know, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not a bad thing, right? It definitely is, but we got to look at the stats, and we got to look at the numbers a little bit. COVID-19 is really attacking those who are, Brianna said it too, so I'm going to use that word, who are susceptible to the disease, right? You know, if you're elderly, if you're overweight, if you have a terrible immune system, if you already have cancer and you're in like the latest stages of cancer, then you contract COVID-19, it's going to be pretty intense for your system, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really blame. I mean, you can and you can't.
Yeah.
For people for being out in the heights and all that, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, for someone like you who actually had it, when you
Yeah.
see that, what is it like?
So before I had it, we weren't going to bars. Like
Yeah.
I think it's all about
Weighing the factors, right?
Exactly.
Obviously, yeah. Knowing who you're around, right? Knowing who you're going out with.
Going
yeah.
to a bar and being packed. Okay, I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah.
And we weren't doing it, but we were going out to restaurants.
Yeah.
Like we were going to El Tiempo. We were going out to
Yeah.
the local restaurants we usually go out to, and we were just trying to play it. Yes, enjoy yourself, but play it as safe as possible because
Yeah.
you just not even so much because we were worried about our own health, but we didn't want to get sick, pass it on to our parents, or pass it on to just any
Yeah.
other person, and be the reason that someone
Exactly.
was severely ill.
Yeah, I think this is. I mean, I think for us, we can all like speak, pretty confidently that this is the first time in our lives, at least it is for me, that we've ever gone through something like this, right? And it's the first time you ever, endure a new disease. I mean, it's the first time like a pandemic has hit my life, right?
Yeah.
So it's the first time for me also that you take having a disease and now it's almost like a statement of morality, right? Like you got to be considerate of others. Like, oh man, I have the disease. Now it's a moral obligation to stay home, right? Before it was like, oh, I don't want to get sick, but you're like you said, it's even beyond
But
that,
I-
man.
but
Like I can take it, like you probably thought. I thought it too. Like, man, if I get it, I can probably handle it. I'm pretty sure I had it before and I got through it,
Yeah.
But now it's like, oh man, okay, well, I'll try to empathize with others
But
who
no,
aren't
but
as
honestly, man,
fortunate.
that's the key point right there. That's how everybody should be thinking across
Yeah.
the board, right?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you might not give a shit whether you get sick or not. You feel that you can beat it, you're in shape and all that bullshit. But
It's about
and even me, like I don't really, up until here recently, I didn't really, not that I downplayed it, but it's like, I think if I get it, cool, man. Like
Cool.
I kind of wanted to get it just to get it out of the way, But now,
Well, like I said last episode, for those who are watching, if you get COVID, you can definitely get it again.
So that was
All right,
before
for
I
sure.
found that
Yeah,
out, because that was like
yeah,
2-3 weeks ago
Yeah.
that they mentioned that. But the biggest thing is like we were talking before this, me and Hector. Like if somebody in my family's having a party, common sense has to play a big role in it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If
Definitely.
someone invites me to a party, a social gathering, and we're gonna go, if I'm feeling kind of sick, common sense has to tell me and should tell me don't go, right?
Yeah.
Because I might think it's nothing, I might think it's allergies, but what if it is COVID? I'm gonna go and give it to everybody. Yeah, I might not suffer too much from it, but I don't know what other conditions other people have, right? And that's the thing. So common sense.
It's all
has
about
to play
taking
a part,
responsibility, man. Being
And,
like
I
liable
kinda-
for your own
I
actions.
kind of echo what Hector was saying about people going to bars and overcrowding it up, trying to party it up. It's like.
And he
The
was like,
bar-
when I went to when I was in the Heights and I went to the bar, he goes, he saw Matt and Mike, we were drinking it up,
Yeah.
like, God damn it, those are my cousins, of course.
No, but I mean, honestly, those are the people that kind of, screw it up for everybody else,
yeah,
right? Because
definitely.
I hate to say it because I know people are losing money, people are out of jobs because of it, but I personally don't think bars should be open right now.
It's
know,
a tough dilemma. I mean,
exactly. It's a controversial subject for
but
sure.
it's one of those that, closing the bar will
well,
suit a lot of people that want it closed, but it affects a lot of people in the
Well, I
long
think,
run.
I mean, I'm not trying to. I agree with you, but to play devil's advocate a little bit, those bars, excuse me, their argument would be, hey man, when you first shut down the government, you kept liquor stores open,
Yeah.
you know? Like what is up with that? That's what we do. We're
Yeah.
pretty, you know, so
It's tough. Like
it's a small business, so regardless of the product you're selling,
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
they're losing a ton of revenue,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Every
tough.
day,
I mean,
especially
we-
on the weekends
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. It's easy for me to say because I don't own a bar.
Yeah.
So, but that bar
Yeah,
owner's gonna say,
exactly.
"Fuck you!"
Yeah.
Like I'm losing a lot of money.
Yeah,
Right?
that's the
Yeah.
thing about all this is like things aren't happening in a vacuum.
Yeah.
If you could say, hey, you can go to a bar,
Yeah,
if you could track
exactly.
COVID, hey, it doesn't affect anyone else.
Yeah.
By all means, bro. You know what your risks are if you get COVID. Hey, that's
Yeah.
up to you. But
And then-
it doesn't just stay there. Like
Yeah.
that person is gonna contract COVID and give
Because
it
those
to
because
others.
those owners
It's
get
tough.
put in a bind, man. Because you can have a limited capacity and say stay 6 feet away from others. We spread tables out and all that.
Yeah.
But how are you gonna talk sense into drunk people, right? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people that go to bars, a lot of people can socially drink and they don't get out of hand.
Yeah.
But then you have a lot of others that go to bars and like get wasted, and there's no talking to them. You know, they're gonna want to start fights. You're not gonna tell them what to do. But-
I'm not gonna say we were here angels. On my birthday was June 17th.
Yeah.
Me, my parents, my brother, my sister, my wife, and my brother's girlfriend. Kayla. We all went to El Tiempo.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 8 of us sitting
Yeah.
at a table at a restaurant.
Did you guys have to wear the mask and all the whole 9 yards? You had
you
to
had-
show up in masks.
You had to show
but
up
then once
into
you
it.
were there, you could
once
take
you
them
sat
off.
down, you
Yeah.
could take them off.
And that's what everybody's kind of
So-
abiding by at the moment.
So again, I just think there's certain risks you can take, and try to be as smart as possible with them. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to
Exactly.
calculate it.
And I think you and Michael said it best, you know. I mean, even if you didn't say it directly, what you guys are saying is like, you know, not only know yourself and know your own, you know, limitations, but know the limitations of those around you. And at the end of the day, it comes to empathizing, right? You
Yeah,
can't be a
dude.
fucking asshole and just, oh, I don't got it, I'm gonna do whatever I want. So,
You
no,
gotta-
come
you
on,
gotta
man.
be
Come on.
considerate,
We're a
right?
democracy. We're built on that we're all communal, you know. So
And sometimes we have to make a little bit of change to our daily life. If we're used to going to a bar every weekend, the three of us, right? Let's just say, for example, we're used to meeting up every other week, payday. We
Yeah.
go to a bar and happy hour and shit. Hey, man, let's change it up. Why put ourselves at risk? Hey, you know what? Let's go buy some beers. Let's go buy some
Yeah.
whiskey and come over, man. Let's hang out at the house.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing at the bar anyway? You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
just the three of us.
Mhm.
So, much less if somebody's feeling ill. I don't give a shit if it's a fever, cough, whatever.
Anything.
Like anything. Just
yeah.
fucking stay home, man.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? If you're
Yeah.
feeling 100% healthy, like Hector said, you know, and you feel it's worth the risk, go. Because every decision you make is gonna have some
Yeah.
risk to
No,
it.
for, that's
And
just.
but it's as long as it's
truth
like
of
a
life.
considerate, you're going with the right intentions. To me, like there's no issue with it, man. It's a win-win for both.
Yeah.
You get out of the house, you have your dinner, have your drinks, whatever, and then you know those small businesses, those businesses that are serving us make money too. So,
Yeah.
but you gotta have a balance, man. A lot of it's
For
the
sure.
people that are inconsiderate.
Exactly.
Like,
to your
I'm
point.
feeling a little sick, but I don't give a shit. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go have beers. I don't feel that sick to where I can't go out.
Yeah.
And then you hear about, oh, there was cases this Saturday where fucking 50 people got it. Why?
Yeah.
Because you know it was one dude that made the decision
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
out
yeah.
when he shouldn't have, right?
Well, my big thing about, and I agree completely. For those who are watching, I'm telling you guys, just wear your mask, be considerate. If you're feeling sick, stay home,
Stay
right?
home.
That's just the
That's the
bottom
big
line
thing.
of it, right?
That's the big thing.
But my thing with like the actual numbers of it all, it's like how many people who are, and I struggle to say this because I don't want to come off like as an insensitive jerk, right? I don't want to put air quotes to something that's really hitting people, impacting their lives completely, but I'm going to do it anyway. How many people, those who are like passing away from COVID, are actually passing away from COVID, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody who's super diabetic, right, who's like super prone to, you know,
Yeah.
a heart attack or a stroke or something, contracts COVID at the time of a stroke, apparently what I'm hearing is they're writing it off as COVID-19. It's like, okay,
don't know.
man, yeah, like you're
don't
kind
know.
of like, we're gonna Russell Westbrook this and pad your stats a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, come
But
on,
my
man.
thing
what
is
that?
like, even if someone has cancer, right, and they get COVID, and they were doing fine, and even if the doctor
You're
told
right.
them you have
You're
a
right.
year to live,
You're
right?
It got
And
reduced
they-
down to 2
At the end of the
months.
day, it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, but we know they're probably going to pass away from cancer, but they get COVID tomorrow, and then within 2 weeks they pass away. You still got to kind of check off
COVID.
was due to COVID.
Yeah,
They passed
for sure.
away sooner than what
They
they
were
should
susceptible,
have, right?
but they
were
weren't going to
susceptible
pass
to
away
it.
this weekend.
They were going to pass,
until they got COVID.
but
yeah.
it got very expedited once
You're
they
right. I
got
agree.
COVID, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's a shitty situation. I don't have any of those symptoms. You know, I'm not diabetic. I don't have asthma. I don't have anything like that respiratory wise. I'm in pretty good health, overweight, but like overall, like my health is pretty good, right?
Tito's going to take you on a jog right after
But
this, man.
no, I
Bruh,
can't. I have
shit.
COVID, dude.
Oh, come on. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
It's a complex
He's
situation.
like, oh, like, yeah. Like, come on.
It's a complex situation.
No,
and as a
definitely.
favor, I'm asking because I want to enjoy this conversation and talk about some good stuff. Let's move on from this COVID talk.
Yeah,
Just
no, I was
it's-
about to, man.
yeah,
I was
we
about
don't.
to.
We
It's
don't.
pretty depressing.
It's
Yeah.
such a new disease. We
Who-
don't know
hey, Matt,
what the hell
who invited
happens.
This guy?
Yeah, who invited
We're
this
here to
guy?
talk about
Hey,
COVID.
Podcast, Mandy, cut it off.
You know what? It's getting kind of late, guys.
Yeah, it's getting
just
kinda late.
Nah,
The
you're
rain's
good
coming
point.
in.
Good
Let's
point.
go.
One
Sometimes,
more favor. Toss me a beer.
yes, sir.
Oh,
Let's
yeah.
do this.
Can you
Oh,
give me
that favor I
the
like.
whiskey? Oh, I got it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
But yeah, now going
pass
on
me
to
the
it,
ice real
man.
quick,
So,
Mike?
what topic do you want to
Tito,
talk
can you
about?
pass me that ice, my brother? Or not.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
My bad. My bad.
So, what topic?
Well, no, well,
obviously you have something
we're going to
in mind.
transition out of the COVID.
I really don't.
Well, no,
Just
but
know
I
the-
wanted to ask you.
But we're not really gonna get into like gay or bisexual stuff, dude. So
Dude.
I mean, we
No.
will if y'all want.
2020, Mike. Come on.
20.
Hey, I will say, I have a brother-in-law now who is gay, and
Nothing wrong with that.
No, exactly. My stance on gay has turned not 180, but I am so much more compassionate. And not saying I didn't like gays before, but
Yeah.
now like I'd be one of those people like fighting for their rights, as opposed to I'd be in the
like
background.
You
bisexual
gotta
between
fight.
us three.
Oh,
So you're
well,
right. Oh,
doing
shit.
this?
Yeah.
Nah, so we even have some family that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
that personally,
Yeah.
right? You know, our first cousin of ours.
Yeah.
Shout out. My stance has changed
put that over
too.
there,
I'm
bro?
not personally.
It's different when it affects
You know, I'm not.
It's
yeah,
it's
because
a
it's
you
crazy.
can have all these opinions about stuff, right? Until it hits. COVID was
Yeah.
one that you talked about,
Exactly.
right? I thought about this way until it hit home directly, and now I'm like, oh shit, you know, it's kind of changed, right? My mentality's kind of changed on it, just like anything, dude.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell Matthew, man, because a lot of times they have these opinions on like marriage and the way it should be. He's gonna find the biggest.
I'm not saying it's
If
not
you're
gonna
listening,
be
it's a
difficult.
future wife. He's gonna find the biggest bitch that's gonna run his ass, and all that like.
Wherever
you know,
you are,
marriage needs to be this is gonna
please
go
show
out the
yourself.
window.
Show
I can't wait.
yourself.
I can't wait to look back on this podcast 5-10 years from now, and we're gonna be looking at Matt over here talking.
Hey,
about,
man,
Well,
I'm
he's
saying
gonna
the
cancel
same
the
thing.
podcast. Like my wife said, I had to shut it down.
Because when I say something, I take into consideration that even down the line, if I don't act by what I say, it doesn't change the fact that what I said back then was true, right? It just means that I didn't
We're
fucking live
constantly-
up to it,
we're
right?
constantly
Constantly
growing.
learning and
You're
constantly
evolving.
evolving,
It's-
bro.
Yeah, man.
We're not the same person we were 5 years ago, and that's
Exactly,
one of the big
exactly.
things that upsets me with this whole cancel culture, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to get into these terms that
Yeah.
identify people, but for us to hold people accountable for not accountable, but hold something against something that someone said 5-10 years ago. I mean, come on,
Oh,
man.
yeah,
Like,
definitely,
you're a completely
man.
different person.
Yeah, you hear all these
you
stories
hear it
coming
more
out in
now,
TMZ and whatnot that people are getting fucking roasted for things they did
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Well, was
Like,
it
come on,
right?
It was a different
No.
time.
Was it
Yeah.
right? No, but
It was acceptable in a different time.
I mean, how
right?
many times have we? And we're nobodies, right? I'm just saying, like. So sometimes I feel for certain celebrities that
Yeah.
get, you know, TMZ fucking catches them doing shit. How many times have we been out drunk? Plenty of times. I've said some stupid ass shit. Where the next day I'm
I never
like,
do, Mike. I always say
sometimes I
rational-
wake up
rational
depressed,
things.
like, fuck, I know I fucked up
Yeah.
last night and said something
For
I
sure.
shouldn't have. But if 5 years are going to pass and you hold me accountable to that, it's like, dude, come on, man, I'm sorry. Like, honestly, like,
Yeah.
it was insensitive. I agree with you. 100. I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah.
I woke up the next day and regretted it.
Yeah.
But it was a joke. Like, it's not
Unacceptable,
truly,
Mike.
it's
Unacceptable.
truly- And
man.
honestly, man,
Unacceptable.
like, we're not. And that's the thing that some people say, hey, dude, you should be more responsible, shouldn't say shit. But it's like, we're fucking human,
For
all
sure.
of us. And we all fucking make mistakes. Some more than others.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, we still make mistakes.
There's not a
right?
single person out there
Yeah,
that
and I don't give a damn.
hadn't said something
Everybody
5 years
has dirt on them, and
Yeah.
yeah, some people's dirt is like, like, you killed someone.
Yeah, goddamn, you know.
But no,
Yes,
it's
we
still
can't
everybody
forget that. We
has
can't see
dirt,
that in
man.
the
Everybody has
culture.
skeletons in their closet, no matter how.
ago. Michael used to wear 3 tall tees,
I
all
had- I
different
wore
colors
3
to show
tall
off
tees,
the
bro.
Anna.
Fucking hood
I used
ass.
to wear
Michael was
J's,
my
bro.
idol. Let's
Man.
talk about that. Let's talk about our childhood growing up. Michael was my idol, bro.
How dare you?
To this day, I still remember. I'm a huge
I'm more old school rap. New school rap's like J. Cole. There's very few select guys.
There's no
but,
new
like,
school rap, bro. It's all old school
like
for me.
Whatever you want to call it.
No,
But
agreeing with
Michael was the one that like got us into that rap culture.
What Tito's trying to say politically correct is that you were a fucking hood ass bitch when you were growing up, bro. Honestly.
And he literally took beatings for us because to introduce us into that. We'd be hooping in y'all's little court.
They were trying to make it seem like out of like White Man Can't Jump, like you're in the hood like projects, like God, you're in my dad's backyard, man. Like take it easy.
Still to this day, my favorite album of all time, Nelly Country Grammar.
Hell yeah.
Michael had that EI, the Country Grammar, just playing, and we'd be out there hooping. And then we had to like kind of keep an eye on the door to see when my Theo Ruben was gonna come out, because the second he came out, I was like, oh, change song,
Yeah.
Sunny
like,
99.9. Like you had to change it real quick. But one time, oh man, we're out there hooping, we're getting after it.
I love Delilah.
I think it was like Eminem Stan or something, and my Theo Ruben comes out.
He
and
probably liked that
just-
one because Dido came on it. Yeah.
and we was just like,
Yeah.
like you couldn't get out of it. Like he heard
Someone
it,
was getting
he
an
saw
ass
it,
whooping, right? Yeah,
and
it was
Michael
gonna
just
happen.
took it like a champ, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, who CD is this?
There's
Like
fucking
mine.
Tito's, right? Because I
Mine.
made sure all the curse words are in this one. Might play it.
Yeah,
It
he
probably
whooped
said
my
Tito
ass,
on
bro.
it.
Yeah,
like I
Tito's-
wrote on it.
He's
I
like, "Man,
remember
Michael."
that now that you're going back to that EI CD with Nelly, I remember we were at Walmart, and back
Shout
then,
out
you know, you
Walmart.
used to have to fucking buy CDs,
Uh-huh.
and every time they would come out, like the first week, they were like $9.99. So anyway, we're in line. I went and found it, and I would even rock the little Band-Aid on my cheek like Nelly, dude. And so
I cut myself on one school picture. I went out there and I literally grabbed a rock and just.
nah, that's
God
what we
damn,
all
that's
said.
crazy, man. Y'all
Bro,
have
we-
some issues y'all gotta resolve. Fuck.
Shout out Nelly, greatest rapper of all time.
All time.
Hell
But nah, so I told my mom,
two
I
good
told my
songs.
mom, buy me this CD, and like my mom was always one I could kind of sometimes pull a fast one on, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, what is this?" It had,
Probably
you know, the
gonna get a
little
fucking baby
block
bottle
like
pop.
parental advisory, like explicit content.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Nah, he curses, but it's just this one
That means
song."
he's like saying
and
Bible verses throughout
So
it.
anyway,
you know?
I convinced her into buying it.
Yeah.
She got it. Now it was just me and mom that night. So we had an expedition back in the day, and back
Mm,
then, like the
Expedition.
shit was like they had like 6 CD changers. You could
Yeah.
put like CDs in
Yeah.
the center console.
Was it the Eddie Bauer one?
Yeah, that Eddie
Yeah,
Bauer,
that-
and we started playing it.
Yeah.
I completely forgot to take it out. So one day
That's
we're
gay.
going to my grandma's house, and like we're all in the car. I'm in the back seat, and my dad's flipping through because he has his CDs in there. And that fucking Nelly one comes up,
Yep.
and the first song on there is like an intro, some bullshit. They just talk. So he went to the next song, and it's Country Grammar.
Mhm.
And the first thing he says is hot shit. And I'm like,
I'm
fuck.
going down, baby. Ocean
So I'm like in the
rain.
back of the shit. I'm like, God damn.
Literally the first words.
So I was like,
I'm
change
like
it,
flicking
change
my
it.
fingers up, you know. flicking
Like
everybody
change
off.
it. But nah, he stayed listening to it, driving, heard the whole song.
Every cuss word was an ass. Was a
And
spank.
just-
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at me,
man.
and he's
He
like,
said
"What is
72
this?"
curse words in the song.
And I was like, I don't know. And I ratted
I
my
don't know.
mom out, dude.
Who?
I ratted my mom out.
Oh.
'Cause he was like, "Where'd you get this from?" I was like, "Mom bought it for me."
See, I was looking at my mom. She didn't speak English, so she didn't know what the hell was going on.
Which is
She's
bullshit.
like,
So
whatever.
my mom was in the front seat, like happy as hell. And he said, "Where'd you get this from?" And I was like, "Mom bought it for me." He looks at my mom, and she's like, "Well, I didn't know it cursed." And anyway, they got into it a little bit. We got to my grandma's house.
I
He took
cried
that
that
CD
night.
out. He's like, "Is this it?" And I was like, "Yeah." He broke it in half. I was
Yeah.
like, "Fuck."
What am I gonna do?
No,
You're
man.
my
What's
dad.
a
I was like,
great
"Mom, buy me another
story?
one."
What's a
Shout out
great
to
story is the time we were at. Now that we're talking about dad whooping your ass, some of my best memories are from dad whooping your ass. You know, honestly, I loved watching it. It was like justice being served, and he's leaving it on me right now. So I'll try to tell it to you a little bit.
What happened?
I remember one time we were at Dion Helika's house. For those who are watching, my Tia Hella lives down the street from me. I remember one time Michael was still in high school. He went and showed up to the party, and we did some illegal shit back in our days. All right, we shouldn't have been in Missouri City High School and middle school and all that. We used some of our uncle and
Lake
them's
Olympia.
address to get us out of the hood, man. We had to prosper. All right. So we used their address, but because of that, they would get the progress reports and the report cards. Back in the day, they were actually mailed physically, mailed to their house. And they would always take the report card. I did fine as a student. I was a great student, you know, all the way through college. I was a fucking exemplary student, for those who are watching. Michael was a terrible student. They
Yes,
would
I
bring
was.
these terrible report cards to parties and all that, and you would always hate it. You'd be like, God damn, they had to bring the report card today, you know? I'm telling him about that time when Pa just destroyed your razor.
I
Remember?
think pieces of that bitch are still in the air.
Yeah, oh
somewhere,
yeah,
dude.
man. Tell that story real
Yeah,
quick.
so for those that don't know, I can't get in trouble now. It's my mom. It was like a deep, dark secret between our family. But I used to use one of our cousins, Melanie, and them.
Oh,
to
I read
dress
this
in
out, bro.
Sharon.
I told
So
him.
I used to
Yeah.
go to Lake Olympia and then Hightower. I wasn't zoned there at all, but my mom would bring us all the way because there were better schools at the time. The downfall of that was that my report cards would go to Tio Saul's house, and we wouldn't go real often. We wouldn't see them too regularly, so I had a few weeks, in between before that my parents would actually physically get it in their hands. So I was like, all right, cool. So whenever I would hear, I knew report cards were mailed out, and then I wouldn't hear parties coming up. I was like, yes, I got away with it this weekend. But that one time that he's talking about, we're at the Hela's house, having a great time, bro, and the whole
sun is shining.
The
I'm trying to
sun
paint a
was
picture. Sun was
shining.
shining. Birds
we're
were
running,
chirping.
playing tag, and life's great, dude. Sunny ass day, and
Sunny
just
ass
everything. Butterflies and rabbits all in Tia's lawn, and anyway, we're leaving. My dad's like, hey, let's go home already. We're done. We're going home. Everything was cool. He was in a great mood, which was what made it worse.
Yeah.
Because when my dad was happy, I hated to be the one let him
Bring
down,
him down.
fuck. And it was always me.
It was always you.
But so we're leaving, and we're getting in the car, and I'm like, all right, cool. They didn't bring it. But then I see Tia Araceli. Shout out Tia Araceli. Bless her heart. I love her to death. But I see her run into the Suburban.
Running.
And I was like, fuck. And she was like, comadre, espérate. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Trip,
damn.
something.
So she came with
He pushed her into the ditch.
Yeah.
A lot of
We gotta
mail.
go.
And what she says is I think his report card's in there, but I don't know.
She knew.
Did they think you were smart, or did she know better? Did she know what
knew,
she was
bro.
doing? She knew
So
you were
she gave
a
it to
dumbass.
my dad. What does my dad do? Fucking fingers.
First thing,
Doesn't
yeah.
give a fuck
He's not
about
looking at
what
anything else.
bills are there. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And he gets a report card, and we look at it right there and at inside the truck at Tia's house,
Yeah.
and he's just looking at it.
Well, tell him what your grades probably were at that time.
When I was report card, so they're all above 50, but they're 54,
God damn it.
58,
Yeah. Good to go.
shit grades, bro.
Yeah.
Terrible grades.
And so he was he did that, and he would fucking toss it.
Yeah.
Put it in park, didn't say a motherfucking thing. Well, the drive from Tia's house to my dad's is a minute.
2 minutes.
right?
Yeah, at most.
So, but it felt like an hour, dude.
Yeah.
I was just
Uh,
hopefully, a dog crosses and postpones it.
yeah, postpones it.
So we get to the house, and he's like, "Y'all stay in here. You get out." I'm like, "Son of a bitch, dude." So we get out,
yeah.
and he's in the front of the.
No, you're
Expedition.
crossing up stories a little bit. We stayed in the car, and
That's what I
he
said.
parks it. No, he parks it, and we're just stationed there. Nobody even thinks about opening the door,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
We're all
you're
just
right, you're
in the
right.
car, just sitting there. Guy
In your
comes gonna-
driveway.
Yeah, in the
He
driveway.
pulls up,
bro.
and we're just there, and he's just sitting there for a while. I remember because that was the first time I think I
Oh,
had fucking
dude.
PTSD or something, and he's just right there, and he's quiet for a minute, right? So the suspense is building, and he's like, "Give me your phone." Yeah, because Michael had the badass razor, and I'll let you take over from there.
Yeah,
dude.
so I go and my phone was everything. 'Cause that's how I talk to girls and shit. That was my only cool thing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, "Give me your phone."
And this is it's not just the phone, but back in the day, we got to give some insight, bro. For those who are watching, Michael had the razor, the Verizon.
Yeah, so it was the
Oh,
first
yeah,
ever
Verizon.
Yeah. flip phone.
Yeah.
Because before they were always
Had
the
a camera.
bricks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This
the
one had
razor
camera,
had
yeah,
flip.
exactly.
It had a camera, shitty ass camera, but it had a
It
camera.
wasn't shitty back in the
you
day.
could
Wow,
text
back in
on
the day,
it,
that was the phone to have.
So I had it, dude, and I make it seem like I bought it. Well, my dad gave it to me, and he took it from me.
Yeah.
But now, so he's, "Give me your phone," and I'm reaching real slow, because normally my dad would be, "Next time I will take it," or next time he would get it, and late, a couple of days would pass, he'd be like, "Here." But if
Yeah.
I see another grid, I'm taking it for good. So I thought this was the whole same thing playing out. He gets it from me.
Damn.
Smash it.
He
I swear
opens
to
the
God,
door.
bro, on my kids.
Yeah.
Pieces of the phone landed on the roof of the house, dude. That's how fucking hard he threw it.
Yeah,
honest,
man.
honest to
He
God,
was
bro.
not. He was.
He was
pissed.
fucking
Yeah.
pissed, bro.
But they're
I didn't get
rude,
my
man.
ass whooped, but
Yeah.
I was
He
crying about
shattered
my
that
phone.
Yeah.
That's
And,
why I say there's still particles falling from the
Yeah,
sky
yeah,
on
yeah.
that bitch, dude.
Every now and then, if you
That
walk
bitch
by
is
our
up in
house,
orbit.
you'll feel something fall on you.
Yeah.
And that's the legend of
This
Mike
is
Guzman's
my phone right there.
Verizon.
But
There's so many
Anyway.
good memories at that damn house, though.
So
I
many
mean,
good
some
memories.
scary, don't get me wrong, but some great
Scary.
memories.
That's
It's
the
just-
thing.
no,
man.
because your dad of all, like he cared so much about us that he was the strictest, but at the same time, you didn't want to piss that man off. Like
Yeah.
he,
Oh, man.
mm-mm.
You know who takes after him a lot? Jonathan, man.
Really?
Honestly, yeah.
That's why he's
I see
And
a
I-
lot.
bro.
I see a lot of your dad in
Well,
you.
everybody tells me like, you're just like your dad, that
You
you
are.
like to argue and talk, and if you have a point, you're gonna say
Yep,
it. And I, you know, I accept that role.
Yeah.
But Jonathan, man, the guy you don't want to get upset.
Yeah.
Because if you upset
Those
me,
are the scary ones, the quiet ones.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And you know, my dad obviously, you know, talks, but if you get him upset, the whole world's gonna know.
Yeah.
Jonathan's the type that he has it takes a lot to get him there, but once he gets there, man, you're not gonna stop
Yeah.
him, bro. Like, once he gets
He
upset
has
at
he
you,
has a shit attitude, bro. That's the thing, you know. Shout
How
out to my
dare
dad
you.
if he's watching. And I mean, we've talked about this,
Yeah.
you know, before. But the thing is, with even
it's not
in-
even it's not shit attitude. It's just it's with people who are so
Now the thing is,
and I'm not
there's
trying to
a-
be PC with it. They're
there's an easy
they're very
solution.
passionate about things.
Yeah.
Jonathan's one of the
But my
nicest
thing,
guys you're gonna
is
meet.
like, my thing is like, it's cool to be passionate, man. A lot of people respect that.
Yeah.
But if you know someone else has a different opinion, just drop it at that, because
Well, no,
you
but
can
see,
be-
it's not. It's
the
not
thing
just that.
is
For
that
them,
you-
it's not like, hey, you just have a different opinion than me. It's like, no, dude, like I'm telling you what's the right way,
Yeah,
and you're
but-
just fighting me on purpose,
Yeah,
you know.
but-
And it's not always the case. But
No,
for
no,
someone
no,
who's
but-
kind of
But
like
that's my
that-
thing. Like, even if it's somebody that's thinking wrong, you ain't gonna change his mind, bro.
Well, no, but it depends on who you're
not,
talking to.
you're not the
right?
first guy that tried to change his mind, right?
Yeah.
So my thing is like, that's where I'm kind of different. Like, I back the fuck off, right? I don't really get in a whole lot of like arguing confrontations with somebody, because my thing is like, man, like, well, one, I try to keep it chill. If I'm having a party and shit,
For sure.
why do I want to argue with somebody, right? Like, I want to have a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to get bored and caught up in like an argument or debate
Well,
about
but see,
something.
but-
And two, like, if I'm talking to Hector one night,
Tito.
Tito,
Tito.
and we're
It's
here,
weird getting
and
called
he starts telling me, you know, something like, nah, dude, I don't agree with that. I might tell him, yeah, well, I don't agree with that, but then I'm like, yeah, but hey, dude, fuck it, you
Drop
don't have
it.
to agree with it, man. Like,
Yeah.
you have your opinion, I have mine, bro, and it is what it is. It doesn't take anything away from the fact how I feel about you, unless it's like
Yeah.
Mike's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
No, I don't
but
agree
what
with
you're
it.
saying, all of it, and I agree, dude. Honestly, well, we talked about it a couple of podcasts ago. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
man, you're doing better with it, honestly, because I'm the biggest guy who doesn't know when to shut up sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's told me that, like, dude, shut up, you're being obnoxious and all that, right? So I had to do like an ego check. I'm like, come on, man, really? Like you're coming to parties, you're talking too much. Like, just shut up.
you
and have a
know,
good
you know,
time.
you know when you need to interject and like give your real opinion. If someone's arguing, they say, Matt, come give your take on it. Someone brought you into that conversation, so now you can like go all and like, yeah, well, if you're
They
asking
ask
for an
for it.
honest
They ask for
opinion.
your
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
You're asking for an honest opinion. I feel this way.
But I will play devil's advocate though, because sometimes for people who really, it's not everybody, man. There are some people who just can go through life being normal. And I don't want to say being normal, like I'm extraordinary, nothing like that. No, but there are some people who can go through life and just deal with the regularness of it all, right, and be perfectly fine. But there are some people who kind of have this innate like search for like, no, there's a higher meaning. There's something more to all this. Like I'm tired of all this, just normal platonic BS, whatever.
But those
They
are
feel things
people that,
very,
like-
they're very intense, right? And this is just in general. You have writers, you have movie directors, you have poets, you have all these artistry people. That's where they get it from. They get it from this innate search for truth. So for them, it's not just a matter of like I can click on and click off. It's like, no, in order to be that person who is writing poets, who is writing stories, who is directing movies, who is feeling life intense, they got to always be on. There is no on and off for them. And and sometimes that's why you hear a lot of people who are famous like in art and all that, like, yeah, it's a fucking curse because I can't turn it off. That's just the way I am.
That's the thing though. Like we're talking about, like I'm talking about tapering it down to like social gatherings, because that's where we.
It
go.
takes a lot of work though,
That's
too,
where we
though,
go.
right? Because you got to
But,
tell
like-
that person, like, hey, man, what you're saying is you're rocking the boat. Don't rock the boat, right?
Yeah.
And there are some people who are very just rebellious in nature, like, who cares if I rock the boat? Am I supposed to, succumb to this guy's will, this other person's will?
But
No,
I think that
I am who I am.
I think that's the thing, though, right? Like, just to get
And,
off this
yeah.
topic, because this is obvious. This is what it's about. Like a debate, we see, there's two different opinions on it, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
My
Y'all are
thing-
showing it
Yeah.
right now.
So
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now, like my thing is like
Keep Mike, I'm right.
you can only be responsible for what you say and what you
Exactly,
feel, right? So
exactly.
like you might know Tito's an artist and he's gonna come up with his bullshit all the time and want to give his take. I'm not. So my thing is like, hey, that's cool, man, that you believe that, and I'm gonna walk the fuck
Yeah.
away. 'Cause
Yeah.
one, I don't give a shit.
What,
Two.
but to that
And-
point,
and-
we're all. I think what we're all forgetting to say, and what I forgot to say, is that we're all Guzmans, right? And
At the end of the day,
at the end of the day,
Exactly.
right or wrong, with being a Guzman comes this innate sense of
I think that's
competition. You
Batman,
know,
dude.
this sense of like, I'm good or bad. It's just what it is.
No, I
man.
said that's
mean,
Batman.
What?
You know, what does he say? What's that saying?
Batman?
Yeah. With this.
I'm gonna get you, Joker. Bitch, I
No,
don't know what
bitch, I don't know.
Batman
There's a
says.
saying in that movie, dude. Anyway, fuck it.
Well, anyways, being a Guzman at the end of the day means that you're very opinionated. You're highly competitive, you know.
No,
and
I
you
think
can
I
attest
think
to
the
this
word
more
is
than anybody.
I think the word is passionate, right? Like when
Not when that's what you want to use.
when a Guzman gets into something, for a lot of us, it's work, right?
Yeah.
You throw yourself into.
But
it.
it
and you're
can be. It
passionate
can
about
sometimes
that.
be like a guilty man's cop out too, a little, right? Like you can say, like, "Hey, man, I'm being rude. I'm being disrespectful. I'm being competitive. I'm being a little envious," right?
Yeah.
And you
I
can
think
just write
that's
it off like,
I
"Hey,
don't
man,
think
no, I'm
that's
just
a-
passionate."
I don't think
you know?
that's a
But no.
Guzman thing. I think it's a human
It's a people
thing.
thing.
It's a
It's a
human
people
thing,
thing,
right?
but it's really predominant.
The
here
thing
in
that
the
allows
Guzman.
it to continue in the Guzman family is that we still, at the end of the day, we always love each other.
Yeah,
Like I might
exactly.
fucking hate Michael the night before.
I
The
think we
next
all
day,
do.
but the next day I'm gonna wake up and he's still my cousin. I'm
Exactly.
still gonna love him. Whatever
Exactly.
he needs. I might still not want to talk to him, but whatever he needs, like he knows he can.
You're
call
always
me and I
there,
got him.
right?
Exactly.
You could go.
You
and
can
I-
hate him. You can hate him. And we. I mean, I'd be lying if I said like there's people in our family that I'm just like I look at and I'm gonna
He's
sound
like,
like a piece
"You."
of shit because I'm probably the first one to ever say it like this. But there's people that I see and I'm just kind of like.
Stay away.
Again?
Stay away, right?
But at the end of the day, if they need anything, they know they
Yeah.
can call me. They know that
Yeah.
I'll do whatever they need in order to help them.
And that's that familial bond that goes, you know, that transcends the normalcy of life, right? And that's one of to kind of transition to a new subject, right? Because we got kind of deep into this.
Got all passionate.
Classic.
So I got
Exactly.
a question for Tito, right?
Yeah.
Well,
So,
before
like-
that, before you keep your question in mind, real quick, 'cause I just want to say this really, because I'm a few whiskeys in.
You're
I'm
doing
a few.
better, by the way.
What's that?
Normally you're cutting people off, but you're doing good tonight.
I'm trying,
You're
man. I try to
you're
take
doing
that
great.
criticism.
You're doing good.
Mike's been on my case. Jonathan is always, he's kind of my, you know, my anchor. Jonathan's like, "Hey, dude." He's like, "When you get there, this is what's gonna happen." He goes, "Just shut up, dude. Just shut up." You know,
You've been doing good.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Honestly, I
Not
appreciate it.
congratulations, but I commend the fact that you're working on it. Some people
You
just
see that I'm
ignore it.
trying, right?
Some
Yeah.
people just ignore it.
And I think that's what the key piece is, right? Like, it's
Well,
it's not about backing off. It's just like try to work on it.
It's
man.
being respectful. It's being collaborative, right? Like, goddamn, like you got to acknowledge that it's a humility check, right? Like, okay, I'm not the holy art
Nobody
thou,
is.
right? I don't have all
Nobody
the
is.
answers. Everybody has something to contribute to the table. This is,
And the thing
that's
is,
the inspiration of this podcast,
and the
right?
thing is that the person that you're arguing with at the time isn't either, right? They're not this almighty that they're always right.
Yes.
But you can't control their opinion. You can't control what
Yeah.
comes out their
and
mouth.
then,
You can
other
only
factors
control
come into
you.
play, right? Like respect and then tradition. Like, okay, who do you give into, right? That's your
For sure.
father.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
you know, he might be a little wrong on this case, but, you know,
Let him
for the
have
sake of being my father, I'm not going to call you out on it,
Just
right?
to keep it going, what were you going to bring up?
Well, no, I was going to commend, you know, Tito, because he was saying, you know, at the end of the day, regardless of our controversies, our arguments, regardless of what we talked about at parties, a lot of it has, you know, like I said, I'm 3 sheets to the wind. I've had a few whiskeys already, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself right now. But regardless of all that, you know, I think I'm pretty sure I did say it at the beginning, but Tito, like he said, to just applaud him to that. When we first started this podcast, one of the first people, you know, to reach out to me was Tito, saying, you know, giving me that support and giving us the support, really. Hey, man, keep going. I'm loving the episodes and all that, right? I haven't, you know, we go spurts without talking and all that, but once you see each other, it's like, man, it's like, that's my brother from another mother, you know? Like, hey, we're just, you know, you have all these memories growing up, and it's just great to get family on, dude, because at the end of the day, the people you share your memories with and share, you know, who you really are with, that makes for the greatest time, really.
Yeah, so
But with that, because we're trying to transition out of this heavy kind of topic.
Well, I had a question.
Oh,
bro.
yeah,
It's a
ask
good
your
one,
question.
bro.
Ask your question.
Nah,
dude.
so
Ask
you
your
know,
question.
one of the questions I had, 'cause we were talking about it, and one of the things you said you liked about our episode was that we were talking about stories about us. So like, I want to flip that on you and say, like, you and Oscar, if you're
Shout out to my
listening,
boy
or
Oscar
anybody
G.
that's listening to this and knows Oscar, that's a crazy motherfucker, dude.
That's
That's my boy,
that's the
though.
original
That's
OG.
that's
Oscar
OG.
Guzman, original gangster.
That
And
guy is
I
something else.
shout out Oscar and Jonathan because they were both fat back in the day. I think they were the only two Guzmans that were fat growing up, bro. Honestly, dude, like they Abuelita has fucking pink tamales or something, bro.
Tortillas.
It's tortillas.
Oh man, they're great.
Nah, they're badass dudes.
Oh, for sure.
God, I love Oscar, bro. Every time I see him, like it's a badass song.
Like,
Every
that's not
time I
really
see
a
any of my
question,
cousins,
bro. It's
really,
like a statement.
but growing up, man, like what are some crazy ass stories? Or sometimes you wanted to kill his ass.
Oscar.
God damn, they used to fight so much.
No, it's
man.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In a good way, like a brotherly way, though. But like, goddamn, you knew when shit was going down.
I
back
wouldn't
in the
even
day.
say it was in a good way, man.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't. Today, the day of today, I consider Oscar my best friend. Like, he was my best man. He's
Yeah.
my ride or die. Like, if I need anything, that is my dude.
Quick
Like,
side note, I'm gonna reference Oscar's quote before we go off and all that, because I have a couple of questions for you, and it goes back to Oscar's quote. So don't let me finish this without saying it.
but that's my dude. Like,
It's your brother, man. Yeah.
But no, that's the crazy thing about it. Like, before I went to college,
You're some
it
guy you
wasn't.
lived
He was
with.
my brother. Like, I fucking hated him. Like,
God
me and
damn.
Oscar growing up, we were arch nemesis. Like,
Really?
We fucking.
It wasn't even
hated
like
each-
one of those like brotherly, like I hate you, but I
There-
love
no,
you at the end of
no,
the day.
no,
Oh,
bro, like,
shit.
he-
Y'all at
Yeah, like we every
Damn,
day,
man.
every second, every hour, we were at each other's throats. Like it got to a certain point where he got bigger than me, and he could beat my ass. So like I just stayed away. But
Yeah.
we couldn't stand each other, man. And
Damn.
the second I left for college, it was kind of like
You realize
it clicked.
Yeah,
Like
that's
what
my brother,
the fuck?
man.
It's
Yeah.
my brother, and I hate him. Like what are we doing? And all of a sudden, it just turned, and it turned into love. Like the second I moved to San Antonio, it was all love.
Well, see, I'll claim it was always love the whole time, right?
It might have been in some
didn't see
deep,
it like
weird
that,
way,
though,
but at
right?
the time, like,
Yeah.
there was no, like, y'all, I see y'all, like, I saw y'all growing up, and y'all hated each other. But
there was always, like,
but
this-
y'all always had, like, a cute, like, all right,
Well, I
they like each
didn't
other.
really talk to these motherfuckers till like maybe 4 years ago, dude. Honestly, I tell them all the time, like, I didn't
Tell them,
really
like-
talk to y'all, dude. Like,
But, like, me and Oscar, like, again, now it's night and day. Before I turned 18 and went off to college, I hated Oscar. After, for whatever reason, it clicked, and now, like, we're best friends. Like, Brianna gets not mad at me, but she's like,
She teases you a little bit.
why do you love your brother so much? Like, would you leave me for your brother? And
Yeah, maybe. You had COVID a couple of weeks
But-
ago, right? Like
but
Oscar's
it's-
clean.
It's crazy. Like it's funny. About 2 years ago, he moved up to Austin, and I helped him move.
I
And
missed him.
I'm
that was
hoping
one
to
of those, not to cut you off, but like when I heard Oscar was moving, I was like, why?
bro.
Like, why? I hadn't seen him in a year, but it was still like,
Well, no, that's the awesome thing about Tito and Oscar, bro, that you don't see them, but you guys, and that's what I was going to ask, well, not ask, but kind of comment on. Oscar's speech at your wedding was like a beautiful speech, man. You could tell he was playing off the cuff a little bit, but what he said was like, hey, man, when we went to college, he goes, you personally, Tito, commended so much attention and so much respect, right? And I want to get to that in a little bit, too, because I see it as well. But Oscar also does it as well, Oscar brings this, like, when he shows up, everybody's, oh, fuck. I don't
like
give
an
a fuck
aura.
if I was pissed off. Yeah, like, they just bring this, like, badass energy.
I never forget,
Exactly.
like, it was like 2-3 years ago, we're at Theo Carlos's for New Year's, and not that many people from the family were there. It was your pops was there, Theo Greg, Theo Carlos, obviously Theo Eddie, and then me and my dad's families. And so it was a limited amount. Like, for whatever reason, just a lot of people didn't go.
Yeah.
And Oscar was already working at Sewell, and he walks in. I had been chilling with Theo Carlos for like 4 hours already, bro. And then Oscar walks in. He's like, "Yeah, my boy's here." And I'm like, "Bitch, what about me? Like, I've been here since 6."
What was he talking about?
Oscar.
Oh, Theo Carlos said
Oscar
that.
walks in the
Goddamn, I think you
door.
were saying Oscar said, my boy's here about me. Man.
No,
I got all
hell no. No
excited
one
for
ever
a
said that,
second.
bro.
Yeah, nobody
No
ever
one's
said
ever
that.
said
Nah, that dude, he's the shit. Man.
But now get back to your story. So then you got to college and you realized that, man, I love this guy.
It just clicked, man. I don't know what.
Hated him.
I don't know. I don't know. Like there was you'll remember this.
But like, who did your mom favor growing up? Like, who did you feel that she favored?
Oscar.
Oscar, right?
Su
The
gordo.
baby, man.
What
right?
about your dad?
My
Did he have a
dad.
favorite?
No,
He's
you
like,
can't
"No, he ain't
damn
on
it, man. How are
them."
you going to ask these questions?
No,
We
and I'll be-
feel. I feel that there's favorites in our family,
Yeah,
bro.
no, my
It's
dad.
not favorites. It's just like who needs more attention at the
Yeah,
time,
but,
or
well,
who
at the time we feel like they love them
Yeah,
more.
no, my
right?
dad, it's Victoria is his favorite, no doubt about it.
I
But
believe it.
but my dad is a
Shout out
tough
to
one
Victoria.
because he worked so hard that he wasn't really around a lot. Like, luckily we made it out okay, and we didn't get anyone pregnant. We didn't get into trouble. And so now that we're adults, we realize that all of the hours he put in at work were for us.
Yeah.
But at the time, like, we didn't know our dad, like, especially when we were still living at the not the
Tio Chai's old
but the our house
Your
that we
original
eventually
house,
sold
right?
He
to
was just
Tio
always
Chai.
gone, huh?
Like, he was gone before we woke up, and he wasn't showing up home till like 9 p.m.
That's what I was.
so.
And it's weird because you say that because
But
I
then
was
he would
talking.
be gone for like 2 weeks at a time and stuff.
Yeah, and then he'd go travel. And the
Well,
only
yeah,
time
exactly.
we
No,
saw
but he's
him
talking about just
was
regular.
Yeah, the only time we saw him was when he was there to beat our ass because we did something bad.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
like
I talked to Dad a lot about it. My own dad.
Yeah.
You know, I was talking to Jonathan about it. He goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "You know, Dad has always been on our ass, like in a good way, though, right? Because
Yeah.
we were talking about, like, yeah, man, it's obviously for the better, right? Because
Yeah.
we're not fucking, you know, shooting up heroin. And
You don't realize it at the time.
Exactly. At the time, you're just like, God damn. I said, but if you
My
look
dad's
back at
big.
it, really, I said, growing up, I said, Dad, my dad, when, you know, he was my age, he was on his verge of a second kid, you know, they were trying to start their own career, you know,
Yeah.
so much like your dad, it's like, I really didn't see him too much, you know, but they were just there to lay the, you
Yeah.
know, the fucking,
Yeah. That's
the
all.
gavel
He was a
down for the law,
disciplinarian.
right?
Yeah.
And then on the weekends when you would see him with family and all that, he was
I
having
mean,
a badass time.
when you
It's
when you
like-
hear stories about Grandpa and all that, right? He was a hard ass dude. Would work as a welder, you know, from fucking
Grandpa was a
early in the
welder?
morning to late at night. All he did was weld all day. And what would he do? Dad
Get on
says
their
it all the
ass.
time. He would get home, have his dinner, have his 2 beers, whoop our ass, go shower, and go to sleep and do it
Yeah.
all over again.
Yeah.
And that's the way. But I mean, fortunately, and this is not knocking any other family or anything like that, because I think as long as you're a good person at heart, I don't give a shit what you do for a living or anything like that.
For
So this
sure.
isn't knocking anybody.
Yeah.
But if you look at just the Guzman, because that's all I can speak to, because that's the only part of the family that I have, is like if you look from generation to generation, you used to go from people not even finishing elementary to then you had some finish in high school,
Yeah.
then a couple going to college, and then now when you see the bloodline of our cousins growing up, it's like everybody's going to college and
Yeah.
finishing now. It's like a norm
Automatic
now,
almost,
right? So
yeah,
now
yeah.
when the
That's
cycle
the standard.
continues now, for sure, it's like it's almost like a failure if one of our kids doesn't go to college and finish and is not successful, right? And we have to keep that going. So behind all those ass whoopings and all that
There's
shit
a
that we
reason
would
for
get,
it,
there's
right?
been a reason for it, and I think it's
Definitely.
shown down the line, right? Because we're
For sure.
talking about maybe from the 70s to where we're at now, so you're talking about 40 years of a generation going on,
which
to where you've
isn't
seen
too
a
much
big trend,
time in
which isn't a lot of
retrospective,
time,
right? It's fairly
but still,
fast,
I
you
mean,
know.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
In
You know,
a
it's
sense.
still-
Which just you know kind of attests to the drive and the determination.
And I
of the
think
Guzman
that goes
family.
back to our uncles though, because even talking to Dad, Grandpa was on their ass like y'all need to make something of your
Well,
lives.
even
but
Grandpa though.
but he didn't force them like y'all have to go to college. He
Yeah.
told them I want y'all to. I think y'all should.
Well, Dad always tells me that.
But
He's like, your grandpa told me, like,
the
hey,
only-
you get to high school, 18, you're done. You know, I
Yeah.
can't.
And the
promise
only
you more
thing he
than
had
that.
is like whatever you decide to do after high school is just
Give
work
it all
hard
your
at
all.
it. Just give it your
Exactly.
all.
Yep.
And I think they all instilled that. And some way, somehow, they've all done the best that they could. And it's only
That's a
trickled down,
it's a
man.
beautiful
And hopefully
thing, man.
it's
a
up to
beautiful
us,
thing.
man. It's up to us with our families to fucking continue that trend.
The
Yeah.
Guzman legacy, man.
I
That's
think it's
really what
pretty
it's all about.
across the board, across the 9 siblings on the Guzman side. I think the 2 things that they always instilled, if we had to dwindle it down to 2 things, it was always be a good person, and whatever you do, give it your all.
Give it
Yeah.
your all.
Like, don't
And going and
half-ass
on
it.
that note, Ben. On that note, honestly, because we've been. It's for a podcast. It's kind of difficult. Not difficult, but it kind of two-edged sword when you have family on, because when you get family on, you already know them, so you have so many memories. That's like, hey man, let's just get into the memories, have a badass time, But for the viewers who are watching, it gets lost in translation a little bit, man. But honestly, I always say this when I have people on, like I'm not gonna have a kiss Hector Guzman's ass club really quick.
Yeah.
But no, man, honestly, having you on, what I wanted to ask you is that, for those who don't know my cousin, and I'm not trying to say this identifies you, right? You are who you are.
Yeah.
You went to UTSA, you graduated. You were the what do they call the president of your fraternity, right? Teak.
Yep.
Tau Kappa Epsilon. You were the president, probably the first one in the Guzman family to be the president of a major fraternity. You did that. You went on. You made your name in the energy business. You're bottom line, dude. Without getting lost in translation, you're a badass guy, man. And what I want to ask is, there's this, at least for me, this is the way I said. I can't put words in Mike's mouth. I can't put words in anybody else's mouth. But there's like this. I I wanted to say this when I started, but I'm gonna say it right now. In life there are followers, and then there are leaders, and for sure, Hector Guzman to my left, the guy to my left, is a leader, no doubt about it, man.
Thank you.
But with that, what I wanted to ask you is, how do you? Because there's this like the enigma that surrounds you, man. You like Oscar said. That's what I was gonna say. Oscar said in his best man speech that when he went to college, the first thing he noticed was how many people you brought to your little. It's almost like you have this gravitational pull of like, hey, follow me, follow me. And I'll tell everybody this. Growing up, for me, it was my brother Mike was the coolest guy after that, coolest guy to me, and then after that, it was all my cousins, you, Oscar. You guys were the real ones who I followed, man. And I remember the stuff you guys told me. I remember the things you showed me and all that. So badass memories, nonetheless. But to kind of pick the mind of the enigma, man, all right? Because without going into like a rap sheet of Hector, like I said, you were the president of the Tito fraternity. I don't know too much. I don't keep up too much with like sports and all that. You've ran Ironman marathons. You've done triathlons. You've done the Chevrolet here in Houston marathon and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Badass worker. How do you
MS 150.
You did the MS 150, man. Me and you were kind of neck and neck at that one time. Hey, that Guzman competitiveness came in. I noticed it. I was like, God, who's gonna win?
Yep.
Of course,
Jonathan won.
Jonathan won, but that bitch almost passed out at the end.
He did.
He always holds it against us. He's like, I won, man.
Yeah.
But after that, it was like me and Tito. And then there was like at a certain point where he was just like, fuck this, sorry, Matt, see you later.
Sorry, slow ass.
Yeah, sorry. And he just took off, and he beat me, obviously. But there was that competitive nature there, obviously.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it all, man? And without sounding, too like a playgirl right now, you're in great shape, dude. You always have been. No. Come on, dude. When you showed up here, I was like, motherfucker, this bitch is even more better shape than I thought.
But okay.
No. But growing up, I mean, we can attest it back to your dad that your dad was very disciplined with you guys. He made you guys excel. He not pressured, in a good way, right?
Yeah,
he put that force,
sure.
right? Pressure, for sure. And then you come out to be this, like, badass that everybody follows, man. Yeah. And like I said, there's this enigma, this mystery, right? That, like, hey, Hector does this, and this. But what goes behind the scenes, man? So can you? I know I've been rambling, but can you attest to any of that?
Well, first and foremost, thank you. Those are very kind words.
It's truth, man. It's
I
truth.
wouldn't necessily agree that I live up to all those, but I appreciate it. I do appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it kind of goes back to what I said a few minutes ago, is that the two things that our family has instilled in us, but more specifically my father instilled in me, was just kind of, one, be a good person, and two, whatever you do, give it your all. And I think when you look at a good leader, is in order for someone to be a good leader, the people he's leading need to know that they care about them, that the leader cares about them, that there's empathy there, that it's not, hey, I'm doing this to better myself, it's I'm doing this to better all of us. So first and foremost, it's not thinking about yourself, it's thinking about the group as a whole. And when you think about the betterment of others, that'll propel you to bettering yourself. So again, that's one thing that my dad always taught me, was just whatever you're trying to do in life, wherever you're trying to get, is not to. In today's world, you see a lot of people trying to push others down to prop yourself up. And what he said was like, no, hell no, fuck that. You better everyone, because they're going to support you to. The more you build others, the more they're going to help build you.
It's practical, and it's a good thing.
And
it helps you, but it also helps them.
And it's crazy that in this world that other people are trying to downplay others. Like, it's insane to me. So that's first and foremost. But secondly, it's just, my dad always said, hey, no matter how crappy you are at whatever you're doing at that moment, give it your all, just because it's. I mean, coming out of high school, I was this chubby.
No,
13.
no way.
No, I mean, I'm sorry, not high school, middle school.
Middle school.
I was this chubby little kid.
He's not high school, as swell as fuck.
Yeah, because high school, this bitch was like all-state cross country.
No, but that's the thing. I started
exactly.
off high school as this chubby little 130-pound, 5'6" Mexican kid.
But my question though is like, what drove that? Because honestly, that's what I was trying to get to. Like, since then, because I remember that too, right? And he was not chubby. He was just one of those guys. Like, hey man, I just grew up it is what it is. Then I realized I really want to actively get involved in athletics, and this guy became like an athletic prodigy. I mean, I remember being like 12 and getting a call. My dad telling me, "Hey, Tito and Oscar are going to be running from their house over here. It's like 13 miles.
On the
They're gonna
bikes or
show
something,
up."
right?
It was
Or y'all
just-
jogged?
No,
We
running,
we,
man,
we
running.
ran that one.
Yeah, they ran it.
Y'all went
But
like all
since
through
then-
like 521 and stuff, huh?
Yeah, I
It was
remember
like
that one.
at the end, it ended up being like 13 miles.
I think Hector went on the bike
He did.
He
and
went
he got
behind
a
me.
He
flat
did.
and I had to go
behind
pick
me.
him up.
Yeah, he
And,
did.
it's
Yeah.
weird because at that day we got that, I was going for like an audition for like the Hannah Montana movie and like this weird ass bullshit,
Yeah.
right? But with that practical athleticism that goes into it, right? Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like at the end of the day, the roots have been instilled into you by your
Yeah.
dad and your mother and your family, right? But there is a
Like
A
extra
lot-
motivation.
there's like a day-to-day motivation because I mean you've
And
done it ever
sometimes
since.
Some
then,
people
ever
have
since then.
angers behind it, or sometimes it's just like trying to do good for others, right?
Yeah.
And like, or whether it's your dad, you want to make them proud and stuff. Because a lot of times, but something comes.
You're right.
behind
You're
it.
right. You're right. To that point, 90% of it, 75. I don't know, but the majority of it was my pops just saying, "Whatever you're gonna do, fucking do it to your fullest," and never, not even do it to your fullest, just don't quit.
So when you're running, I mean, I'm trying to get in the head of you, right? Because I think everybody here and who knows
Yeah.
you is trying to like get in the head of Hector Guzman. Like, goddamn, who is this guy that lures us so much? So when you're running, when you hit mile, he was in great shape, guys. For those who are watching, when you hit
Was.
mile 7 and get tired, and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm like huffing and puffing. What's going through your mind?
one
like
step at a time, man. Just
that's what you tell yourself.
just
Like, hey,
one
man,
step
one
at a
step at a time. One step at a time.
why quit now? You've made it this far. Why quit now?
Is that the same philosophy you take over to your everyday life? Like,
I do my best to do so. Yeah. It's hard. Sometimes I don't succeed in saying that. Sometimes I give up 30 minutes before I should have, but I do my best to do so. But to your point, Mike, what you were saying is, I think when I was younger, it was all right. Don't disappoint your parents. Whether it was my mom, my pops. I would see my pops going back to, he worked his ass off. Like that motherfucker was always working. That's all I knew my dad for before when I was growing up as a kid. So it was like, if he's gonna do, and especially Grandpa, like you hear the horror stories about the
Oh,
shit that
man,
Grandpa went
yeah.
through, eating bananas at the border, but not even bananas, banana peels.
bananas on like
Banana
tree
peels.
stumps, right? Like working in the fields.
Oh,
and
I've
all
heard
that.
stories where he's pulling banana peels out the trash cans to
and
eat.
eating
Yeah.
on the stump. Yeah,
Just because he has
He has
nothing else to eat.
Exactly.
So when you hear stories like that, I mean, maybe like the second that you heard it, you're kind of like,
Come
"Yeah,
on,
whatever."
no.
But when you're going through some shit and you hear that, you recall to that story, you're kind of like, fuck, I'm complaining about sitting in an AC filled room and typing on a computer and you know, getting paid to do so, and
It's beautiful, man.
that's what I'm complaining about. Like you think back on those stories, it's kind of like, man, that's a disgrace to the shit that they went through.
Yeah.
So it's when you look back at like where the Guzman generation has come from to where we're at now, we have no excuse not to give it our all.
I mean, we have a way bigger platform that we started from.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if there's no telling what they and it could go the other way where they got lazy
sure.
and didn't do shit.
For
You
sure.
never know. But what I'm saying is that we're given a platform now, so if we keep that same mentality,
The
the
sky's the limit.
for everybody, bro. And it just gets it
all goes
should
down to-
improve every generation that comes.
It's just keeping that mindset. Just fucking
Yeah.
keep grinding. Like
Yeah.
whatever you do, just keep going.
That's the thing.
And don't give up.
honestly.
Yeah, man. Well, without getting into too much detail here about like your personal life and whatnot, I mean, we've had conversations outside of this podcast where I'm fortunate enough to see your work ethic, right? That I'm able to at least see it. Like, okay, this bitch, he works from this point to this point, right? And it's crazy to think like your actual work ethic, man. And there has to be something a little more that goes beyond it. I mean,
Matthew wants a TMZ story, bro. That's what he wants.
No,
dude.
but what I was saying earlier was when I was a kid in high school, like it was don't disappoint your parents. So give it a, if there was any intangible, it was don't disappoint your parents.
Yeah.
Now what I'm looking at, and you guys kind of thanks, man. What y'all kind of referenced earlier was our parents, our dads more specifically, they weren't there while we were growing up because they were busting their asses working.
exactly.
Right now I'm married, but I don't have any kids. So right now is where I need to bust my ass, work fucking 12, 16 hours a day, whatever it is,
Well,
work the weekends. So when I do have kids,
I'm not having to bust my ass to make
Well,
that
I guess
extra
that would be my
income.
question.
It's getting
then.
ahead of the
so
curve.
for now that you're 28, 29,
28.
you're 28 years old, and I see him, and that's what I was trying to say. Like I see that you bust your ass left. I mean, the guy's up. He's told me before, 4:30 a.m. He's up. He's going to bed 12 or 1, and then waking up at 4. How he does it, I don't know, man. This guy's badass. This is my point. But when you're doing that, is that what's kind of driving you at this point? Like, hey, man, I'm going to grind in my late 20s and my early 30s. That way, when I have a kid, it's beneficial for them. That's what your motivating factor is. Then.
No doubt about it, because there is parts of me that say, damn, I wish I had my dad there growing up as a kid, to more of a dad. Again, at the time, I didn't realize it, but it was kind of like, fuck.
Shout out to Hector. You did a great ass
job.
job.
For sure. He was at every game. He was at whatever. But, like, again, there were certain times where where's Pops?
Just during the week.
Can you back with ice, Mike?
He's working. He always made our games, but, the Monday night, he wasn't there because he was still at the office. So that's to your point. I mean, I'm trying to bust my ass now, put in the work now, so we're 3-4 years down the line where my kids are starting to realize, hey, where the fuck is Dad? I'm there.
Busting his ass, right?
Yeah.
Even in the intangibles, like you said.
They still see that I'm working hard, but I'm there a little bit more.
You're
because
there.
one thing that Brianna's family has showed me a lot that I didn't get necessarily from my childhood was showing affection and love amongst the family. We've been watching this show called Fresh Off the Boat. It's about this Chinese family.
Oh yeah, man, ABC.
Yeah,
shout out ABC.
It's a great show, but they're real hardcore. They know they love each other, but they don't say it. They don't.
He gets lost in that tradition, man. Yeah.
But one thing that their family has showed me a lot is like they've grown up telling each other "I love you" since day one, and so I feel like that has great benefits to someone's childhood as well. Because I didn't tell my parents I love them till I was like 20.
Yeah,
21.
it was embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was.
See,
I honestly didn't
Michael
tell.
came up in that era as well.
I came up in that era, like, to me, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause now I kiss my dad on the cheek and stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's,
Same here.
back then it was like hugging my dad, that's gay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
For
do
sure.
shit like
How
that,
dare
you know? And even my mom was like, man, I'm cool. Like, I don't hug my mom, you know? And then I came up in that era. I think it was I don't know if it was a phase, because I'm sure there were some people that hugged and kissed their parents.
Yeah.
But I just didn't. Like, in our family, I was like, nah, that shit, you're soft, you're gay, whatever.
Yeah.
And but now, to me, now I still, he's gonna hate me for it, but I still, every night, man, I go and kiss Mikey on the cheek. Love you, man.
Yeah.
And he comes in, he knows. It doesn't matter what time it is. He comes in my room. Hey, Dad, good night. Love you. Kisses me on the cheek.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
awesome.
love it, dude.
That's awesome.
And what I dread, because at this age already, I was already like hating my dad. Like,
Oh,
back the fuck off me, bro.
All of us were. Well,
like,
me
back
and
off
you, at
me.
least.
Like,
Not me.
I didn't even think about like wanting to kiss my dad.
Yeah.
Me, I was thinking about like, how can I go out with my friends?
Yeah.
And my son, for him to still on his own come do that,
Yeah.
sometimes is to me it's badass and
Yeah.
it's genuine and
Well,
yeah.
it like you said, dude, it goes back to it's instilled in the. It's not a scholarly way or a pedantic way to say it. It gets instilled in the Guzman way of life. There's this unwritten kind of manifesto that exists between everybody that, hey, man, like, we're traditional guys. At the end of the day, we all are, man. I mean, you proved it when you married Brianna, bro. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to marry this woman. I'm going to support her. Whatever kids we have from it, I'm going to take care of, and I'm going to honor her,
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, really,
Yeah.
It's just like doing your responsibility and abiding by those who truly love you, you know? So, like I said, I'm the worst guy to attest to this because, like, I'm the most single AF guy in the world.
we'll see in a few
Brianna,
years, bro.
Brianna, you promised me girls at the end of this, so I better be getting messages soon. So,
No, it's marriage is different than what I envisioned 15 years ago. I'll
okay,
tell you
well,
that much.
the question begs, like, what did you envision it as, man? Well, you obviously you went based on what you saw growing up.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
like,
my dad-
Hey, man, my mom was at home, my dad's
Yeah.
at work. That's
My-
what it's gonna be like.
My dad was the king of the house. What he said went. I mean, it was.
Oh, is it not that way?
No,
Here we got to a
no, and I-
controversial subject.
No, and I'll be the first to admit
Brianna,
it.
king of the house.
I wouldn't say she's the queen of the house, but it's 50-50. Like, that was. As I approached proposing, that was the biggest thing for me. Like,
well, okay,
this-
well, what is 50-50
You don't.
really
You mean you
then?
don't have a throne inside with like your crown and shit that you?
You don't
wear
have like
as
a
soon as-
mantle of like
as
your
soon as you
picture
get home
all
from
behind
work, you
and
don't
all
like
that? You were smoking
unbutton
a
your
pipe?
shirt and like just lay in them.
Mike's like, well, I do.
I need to take them after you.
Well, I don't.
Mike has like the fucking kennel where he goes into.
Nah, just at least for me growing up, like what my dad said went. And there's no
Yeah,
one could
exactly.
contest it. Not me, not Oscar, not Vicky, and not my mom. Like no one could say anything. But now, like the way I envision my household, the way I envision the day that we have kids, it's not just what Hector says goes. It's what Hector and Brianna both say goes. Like we're gonna talk about this. We're gonna get on the same page. And we're gonna come to a decision together.
Obviously you're not living in Fantasy Island, right? Where hey, me and Brianna are gonna be locked in 100%. It's like no, man. There's gonna be a day where your lifestyle brings you up. Like, hey, man, I think this a certain way, and Brianna's gonna be, well, no, I think this should go a certain way. Especially with your children, right?
Yeah.
You know,
With
what
everything.
happens the day that, like you said, obviously. I think it's very healthy what you said, right? Hey, we have a disagreement on something. We talk it out. We compromise. We come to a solution. But back in the day, it's not always been like that, right? Like you said, your dad was king of the house, you know?
Yeah.
So you say it's 50-50, but my question is, like, what does 50-50 mean, you know? Because we can get into a huge argument about, like, 50-50 means, like, paycheck. Like, you bring in half in the money.
No.
What are you talking about?
In my opinion, man, and Tito can talk to it because he's fresh off the boat.
Exactly.
On
Like
this
I'm saying,
one,
man,
right?
hey,
like,
I'm not
he's been married for a few
I don't
months.
have a clue about what it means.
But it's like
to
I've
be
always
married.
said, and this bitch makes fun of me. That's why I said I can't wait for him to get married, dude. I bring all these videos out.
Please,
Shit.
girls who are watching, help me get married.
But no, so like my thing on 50-50, bro, is not traditionalist in me. Is the man's job to protect his family 100%. You're not gonna send your wife out there to go fight a burglar that's breaking in.
Absolutely.
There's things that are just just the way it is, right? As a man, if there's someone's breaking in, you're gonna defend your family, right? If someone's gonna put their life on the line, it should be the man.
No doubt about it.
So I'm a traditionalist in that aspect.
Yeah.
As far as decision goes, I'm not gonna show with a brand new car without consulting Anna. Why?
Yeah.
Because even if before she worked, it's not just my money. It's our money, right?
But-
And I can't make that I can tell
but-
myself I can afford it,
Yeah.
but it's not. I don't
How
know
dare
what
you.
plans
How dare you say
we
something like
as a
that.
family have, right? I
sure.
don't know what we're trying to do. I don't know how comfortably we're trying to live and things like that.
Yeah.
So to me, it's always been like 50-50 decision. And why not? Why the fuck not?
Well, no,
we're all
and
living under the same
What-
roof. Who
for me,
else am I going to
this
go
is-
consult
This is being
with,
a single
right?
guy. Obviously,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
can throw
married.
your beer at him if you want. Bro.
Either you can pour your beer on me if
No,
you
no.
want.
When I say 50-50 decision, it's not saying you're gonna go
Do whatever
this
you want.
50%. It's
Yeah.
when I say 50-50 decision, I mean everyone has an equal voice in
Yeah.
when deciding on a certain matter.
Anything.
But
Whether it's
and I hate
finances.
I hate to be devil's advocate, but this happens so much in marriages. At least the ones I've been privy to, right?
Yeah.
I see where a husband has a certain point of view, and I see where a wife has a certain point of view, and I see where they don't necessarily, they're not compatible, right? So my question is, like, at the end of the day, if you and your wife are in a huge dispute, and this is not me just trying to be like controversial, like, I want to make a fucking argument. It's like, no, when you and your wife are at a complete dispute, and you are wholeheartedly believing that what you're saying is right, who gets the final say?
Yeah, but I mean, what are you talking about though? Like,
I mean,
on
you're talking
designer
about your
clothes
kids, right?
or who has the best
Well,
brand?
let me just throw out a hypothetical, right? Obviously, this is not the case for you guys because you both were married in Catholic families. But say, for example, you were a Catholic and Anna was,
Jewish.
Judaism or something. I don't know,
I'd
whatever.
probably
Right?
tell you
Something
it's probably not
that's
going to work out.
you
That's
wouldn't
a
get married in
decision-
the first place, probably.
That's the decision
but-
you make beforehand.
Yeah, exactly.
Before you even put yourself
but
in that
saying
situation.
you were like, well, saying you both are Catholics, right? And saying Anna's like, hey man, hey Michael Anthony Guzman, whatever the fuck your real name is. She's like, hey Michael, like Mikey and Savannah, or my brother's kids' names, they need to be baptized. They need to go through their first communion. They need to be confirmation.
Yeah.
She's
We need to do
Catholic,
that.
I'm like Christian or something.
Yeah, and you're like, no, honestly, I
No,
don't.
I don't believe
I
in
don't
that
really
stuff.
believe in that. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is you're going to be, hey, I don't really give a fuck. Just do it, whatever, right?
Pick and choose your
But
battles.
if you're like wholeheartedly adamant about, no, I don't believe in that. I've had a change of heart. I've had a change of mind. I'm gonna go. I think what these Buddhist people are saying is pretty badass. I think. What do you do in that case where you have a conflicting of ideas?
But see, like, I don't
Who
think
has
that
the
would
ultimate
ever
say?
happen.
I was
Because
gonna
you
say,
have
no,
to.
no,
You
no.
have to.
No, I got you. I'm
I
gonna
think
answer your
we
question.
all, government, local.
I'm gonna
family.
answer your question. Those are things that mean that much to you. should have been discussed before you get married.
Well,
It's crazy to me. And let me give you an example. Is obviously me and Brianna, we grew up from different backgrounds. You know, her father was a doctor. They'd done well their whole lives. And not to say my dad didn't provide for us towards the latter end, but
our family definitely comes from a humble, more.
The first 10 years, they were pretty rough.
Yeah, exactly.
So we kind of had a different value when it came to the sense of a dollar.
Exactly.
So before I proposed, before we even started talking about marriage, that was one of the things that was very important to me to discuss ahead of time. So we discuss it, we do our thing. Are there going to be arguments that come down the road? Absolutely. Like, she's going to want a nice car. I knew that was coming. She's going to want a nice house.
For those who are watching, what exactly is the discussion you're having? You're having a discussion.
It's me telling her, Brianna,
I might not be able to
I'm gonna
right?
do my best to give you everything you want.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be times where we can't afford this, and that's to say we can't afford it.
It's not the
we
right
shouldn't
thing at the
spend
time.
this much money on XYZ because of ABC.
So don't expect.
And not don't expect it. Just
Don't
if
rely,
we get
right?
there, let's just be ready for us to have a discussion, not an argument, not a confrontation, just a discussion for me to tell you my points on why I think we shouldn't do this, and you can more than welcome to tell me why you think we should, because there are certain times where I've been, hey, I don't think we should do this, and then she'll come and she's like, but we should do this because XYZ, and I'm like, you have a point. Let's make this decision. But where I was gonna get to, it was we got married in the Catholic Church. You had to do the pre-marital classes. They make you do, I think it's like
something
3
amount
days
of hours,
for 12
right?
hours.
Days, Wednesday days.
But one of the topics was finances, and the person leading the class, they asked, so how many of you guys in here know the financial
responsibility,
financial situation of your significant other? Everyone raised their hands. Then the next question was, how many of you know how much financial debt your significant other is in?
I'm never getting married.
Half the class goes down. How many of you know for certain how much your significant other makes every year? The other half of the class goes down. So all of a sudden it went from 100% of the people
like
knew
20.
to what their the other's financial situation was, to all of a sudden you're down to 25%.
Damn.
And then all of a sudden it goes to, how many of you share bank accounts? Me and Brianna are the only ones holding our hands up.
Really?
And it's just kind of like,
goddamn.
okay,
Really?
not to make us seem like we're perfect or anything, but
No, but
again,
it's pretty
that's something
eye-opening.
That's something that was very important to me.
Yeah.
So it was something that we discussed ahead of time before we decided to try to get married. So I think if something really means that much to you, going into a marriage, you should know the other stance. And if you don't, then you got some talking to do before you commit to a lifelong.
Because I think what Matt's talking to is like they were friends for a while and then they got married. Now they're learning.
I mean,
each
because
other.
it's pretty rare that you see somebody do their due diligence before they get married, right?
I think
obviously you were a very practical guy, Brianna. She seems to me to be a very practical person that also would, ask these questions. Yeah. But you have so many situations where, whether it's like having a baby out of wedlock or,
that's different. You're forced into a situation.
But regardless, forced or you're not necessarily forced. You're forced per se, kind of, right? Like, hey, we're forced, but I'm going to choose to do right by you, right? Yeah. Ultimately, I'm choosing to do right by you, so I'm going to choose to accept this burden, right? Regardless of what it is, right? Yeah. It's pretty rare, and I want to say in our culture, right? Because if we're going to get outside of cultures, but for the Hispanic Mexican culture, it's pretty rare that you go and, ask, hey, man, what's your, I'm being humorous right now, right? Yeah. I'm not saying this how you did with Brianna, but it's like, hey, before we get married, are you in debt? Yeah. How many people really do that, right? They base it on this idea.
You pick that up just to knowing them and getting to know them. You don't go.
You with Anna,
I doubt Tito specifically asked Brianna, how much debt do you have? It was probably like he heard her saying, "Oh, I got bills to pay. I got
I'm
debt to
pretty
pay,"
sure Tito had a
and
good
he picked
idea
it up.
though.
Yeah, that's what I'm
before.
saying. But he
Yeah.
picked
it was
up.
never. It
probably.
may have never been as direct. Like, hey man, like, give me your. I want a balance sheet. You know,
Yeah.
of your. You know, you never said that.
It's
I'm
not
sure.
give me a balance sheet, but what do you think about going into $20,000 of credit card debt? Like,
Yeah.
if I would have known she's just racking up a credit card bill, hey, this might not be the woman for me.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
yes, it's all about law, but finances go into
You got to be
a commitment.
practical
Like,
about it as
yeah,
well,
you
right?
can't-
Come on,
you
man.
got to be on the same page as close as possible to everything. So that's one thing I truly do admire you. I was fortunate enough to where, not fortunate, I don't want to say it like that, but
It's just the way it played out for you. Right?
I selected my wife because she's the woman
Who best suited you.
that best suited me.
Yeah.
The one that everything matches up. We're good to go. All systems go. Let's get married.
And like you were saying, like Mike
Y'all
was
were
lucky enough to have that.
I would say,
But some people aren't.
yep. So I admire y'all because y'all have done a phenomenal job with your family. Like, if you look at like the statistics, hey, 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, wherever y'all were at the time,
14-year-olds.
Hispanic couple especially, y'all doing phenomenal. Y'all live in a great neighborhood. You have a great job. Y'all have great kids. Those little two kiddos. Where's she at?
You got to give Savannah a shout out. To
Savannah, my favorite little niece, cousin, whatever you want to call
whatever
it.
you are.
She's
For
phenomenal.
Mexico, she'd call you Tio.
Mikey's
but
gonna
here
be
she
the
calls you
president of the
Cuz.
United States one
Thank
day.
you, man. I always say that.
It's when 10 years down the road when we see what they become, people are never gonna guess, hey, their parents were in high school when they had them. Like you're just not gonna see that. So
Yeah.
that's a phenomenal accomplishment. You alluded to it in one of the older podcasts. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, man.
But again, it goes back to the
Yeah.
fundamentals that our family instilled in us. It's just be good to people and work your ass off.
Ultimately, that's what it is. I think like Tito hit the nail on the head right there. It's just, I think the mindset, and don't let me put words in your guys' mouth, obviously, but from what Tito's saying, from what I've heard you say, from what I think, ultimately, it's just, hey man, at the end of the day, like Tito said, there's kind of 2 points to what you're doing that motivate what you're doing. One is, man, you got to treat people right? You're not going to try to screw people over. You're going to do it the right way. And 2, it's like this determination, this motivation to whatever you're doing, like do it to the best of your ability, right? Whether that's being, and Tio Carlos, Tio Hector will all attest to me to this because it's a paraphrasal quote from my since late grandfather. Whatever you're gonna do, whether it's being the janitor or the CEO of a company, do it to the best of your ability, man. You know, and have pride in what you do, right?
Yeah. Because some people flip that too, and they're like, don't do your best because they're gonna fire you anyway when they want to fire you. A company will just get rid of you, maybe.
Which is true.
But busted your ass, you look good.
But it's being practical too, right? You got to be
it's
able to
being
know how to read a
practical,
situation.
right? And but no, if you do the best, and I'm not saying that if you do your best, you're never gonna lose a job because sometimes layoffs happen
For sure.
unexpectedly, like during this pandemic, right? You're gonna lose your job regardless, but you leave with your head up high, you know. And honestly, man, the thing I know, to y'all being in the energy business, and if you haven't experienced it, you will. Your dad can tell you. My dad told me plenty of times. In the energy business, it's a small world, dude. You will be surprised that somebody that you worked with will be your boss 2-3 years from now.
Yeah.
And it's just a recirculating thing. So it's a small world. So if you work hard, those people are going to remember it. When you move on, whether it be another company, another position, people will remember it, man. There's only... yeah, some bad shit can come out of it, just like anything in this world. But if you work hard, you have nothing to worry about. As far as finding another job, you just control what you can.
Worry
It kind of
about
goes
what you
back
can
to
control.
it goes back to the arguments and stuff earlier. Like you can't control what he thinks or what he's gonna say. Hey, you can control your thinking and what you're gonna say. So sometimes it's better to just say, hey.
React to certain.
And that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's
she's gonna turn out bad.
Yeah.
I might be the greatest person and work as hard as I can, and my kids might turn out to shit like that. Not
And
shit,
you just
but
don't
God
know.
forbid.
they might become drug addicts. You don't know what
don't
the world's
know,
gonna
dude.
throw at you, but all you can do is just worry about what you can control.
And at the end of the day, in that situation, you're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that doesn't
Exactly.
happen. But we got pretty deep. I think that was a great ass conversation that we had. Conversation, whatever you want to call it, it was. But for people who are watching you, because we got to be honest right now, the people who are watching this podcast are people I know, people who Mike know. And if Brianna and Tito come in clutch, they're going to be people who they promote to on their story and Instagram, right? You have no reason to do that, honestly.
No,
but if you did, they're going to be people who are saying, like, I want to see how Hector Guzman, how we know him, he told you earlier, call him Tito,
Tito.
right?
Yeah.
That's how I know him, dude. Tito.
Yeah.
But how Hector Guzman, how he works day to day, man. So, without getting into too much specific, what is like a daily Monday through Friday looking like for you, man? Honestly.
Real quick, for those that keep seeing me go off camera, like I'm doing something badass over here in the back.
Yeah, he's saving
It's,
lives.
I'm saving
He's,
lives, you know. I
it's
got
a
like
tropical storm about to
you
hit.
know,
He's like
I'm
going
over
and
here,
building,
like I've got
tents
a
for
camera,
people.
and you know, I'm feeding news to Fox 26. I gotta piss.
How
So
dare you?
day to day, are we talking pre-COVID or COVID? Post-COVID.
We're talking pre-COVID, like it's assuming it's a regular day, man.
So pre-COVID-
Walk us through, and without getting in, like I said, too much into detail, right?
I don't mind. I mean, I'm not hiding anything. Look, pre-COVID, I had a great routine going. Wake up, 4:30,
4:30 a.m.
4:30 a.m.
Though, real quick, because I mean, I need people to understand that this guy is saying he wakes up at 4:30 a.m.
Let's say 4:30 to 5. It's not.
This guy wakes up at 4:50 every morning. All right, that's pretty goddamn early. All right. Okay.
I was in my zone
What time
pre-COVID.
did you go to sleep?
Oh, it was 9.
9 o'clock.
I need
all right,
my-
all right,
I-
because
yeah.
you're not going to sleep like at 2 o'clock in the morning.
No. I need my
You're going
7
to sleep
to 8
at 9,
hours.
so
Yeah.
that's about 7.5 hours.
Yeah,
That's
I
7
need-
hours. Good sleep.
I need
Good
as
sleep.
close to 8 hours as I can get. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
Okay,
I,
so
I
walk
can't
us
function
through
without.
like
Wake
up at 4:40.
Let's say 4:50.
4:50.
Let's say 4:50.
Yeah.
I brush my teeth, getting dressed. I'm ready to go. 5:10.
5:10.
Not to be a kiss ass. Kiss my wife goodbye. And then I'm
Brianna,
at the,
you don't deserve my cousin. I love you. Yes, you do. He doesn't
I'm at
deserve
the
you.
office by 5:30. Get to work. I mean, I'm grinding. I'm starting work at 5:30.
Well, because that part right there is a little critical right now. Because everybody who goes to the office, Mike used to tell me, we go to lunch together. You hit me up a couple of times, like, hey, let me know when you and Mike go to lunch, blah blah blah. Because this bitch will hit me up like at 11 o'clock.
Oh, well, honestly,
Pre-
most of the time I don't go to lunch, dude.
Yeah.
Not because I'm
badass.
so caught up in my work or nothing. I just sometimes I want to leave a little earlier.
Yeah.
It's a little different for me though because like Anna works, right? So sometimes she goes in at 7.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't put my kids at school at 6:45, 6:30.
Yeah.
So I would stay back, and I would tell her, hey, I'll
Gotcha.
go in
No,
about
for
8,
sure.
8:30.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so you go in. I got a flex schedule. My boss doesn't give a shit if I'm there 8 hours a day or not.
Yeah.
So I'll go in later.
Yeah.
But there would be those times where she works till 5.
Mhm.
My kids get out at 3:30, 4:10, something like this. So I got to be on
Yeah.
this side of town ready to
No,
pick
for
them
sure.
up because the bus they don't like it, dude.
You gotta do the best with the hand you dealt
So
with.
and then
Everyone's got
but
different
then
hand.
Matthew's been attest to it, dude. And honestly, I don't need anybody to pat me on the back. I don't give a fuck. Why? Because nobody here pays my bills.
Yeah.
So as long as I'm getting my shit done, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody thinks about my work ethic, my work schedule, honestly.
Yeah.
But I get here, I plug in, and I
To go.
send
Shit
emails.
done.
I stay on my
Yeah,
shit.
you gotta
bro.
get your
I
shit
take
done.
care of my shit.
Whether
You
you
know.
do it in 1 hour, or whether it takes
I
you
haven't been with the
14
same damn
hours.
company for 13 years because I'm a piece of shit
Yeah.
and like don't do work.
Yeah.
Right? I get my shit done.
Yeah.
So my schedule's a little bit off the wall. There'll be times I send emails at 9 o'clock. And there's
Yeah.
times that I send them at 1 in the morning.
Mhm.
But I get my shit done.
Yeah.
It's sidetrack, but
Yeah.
No,
you know,
I think
just
it's
to get back
it's a
where you're
great.
going
It's
to.
not even a segue. It's just a great.
because
Because what I'm trying to ask right now is like
I knew what you were getting into.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, because
this
he was
guy
going
is
to
a
get into the
maniac,
whole
man.
thing like, do you truly need to be at the office that many hours?
Not even that. Well, yeah.
And
Well,
it's
one
not
of my
even
question is
that.
like, do you need to work as hard
Like
as
me,
you do?
like I've told you Hector before, I was like, why are you always here? Because for those that don't know, me and Tito's dad work together in the same office. And I can't beat his ass into work, and I can't beat him to leave work. He's still got a hard mindset. And he always tells me, hey, mijo, I prefer to be in the office. And that's
Yeah.
cool.
Same with me.
That's cool.
COVID's driving me crazy.
That's cool.
I-
And I'm behind that. Like, hey, whatever it takes, man. If that's where you get that's where you're not relaxation, but if that's where you get your grind done, I'm all about it. I just told Matthew, the only thing I've told him before is don't go to, this is not a shot at anybody. The only thing I've told him as advice is don't go to the office for 12 or 14 hours and get 2 hours of work done.
For sure.
Because you're not impressing anybody,
Yep.
bro. Because guys, and you'll attest to this. Your boss, their bosses, all they want is results.
Yeah.
And if you got a flex schedule, they don't give a fuck where you're at, as long as you're producing results.
I'm the asshole at the office because
Yeah.
I'm there well, not the first one in, but I'm pretty there early.
He's pretty goddamn early.
And I'm pretty there pretty late, relative, especially when you consider the time I come in. But like people come up to me and like, unless that shit's important.
Yeah.
Whether you're my cousin, whether you're my cousin or just some other, just any other.
He's never
boy,
told me anything like that.
Like I'll be the first one to tell you. Like I'm the asshole. Like when I'm at work, I'm there to work. It's not to fuck around.
Yeah, I didn't come in at 4:30. I didn't come in at 5:30 to fuck off.
What's in your mindset at that time, right? Hey guys, for those who are watching, I've never said, Tito, you're a fucking dick, all right? But no.
Tito
like he said, right? He goes, I go to work, I'm there to work, all right? You know, commendable.
But one, he said he doesn't see you that much. Well, this was before all this COVID shit.
Yeah, before the COVID, I told him, he was like, hey, you see Tito?
Because I asked him, like, hey, so you see Tito and them often? He's like, nah, Tito's, and he goes to J-Port a lot, and I don't really see him that much. Yeah. And I told him it's better that you don't see any of them. Yeah. That way you could focus, keep your head down, and keep working. Bro.
Exactly. And
the only thing I told him, because he was like, man, because there's a couple times that I'm going to go in at 5. So what the fuck are you going to do? One, does your boss even let you go in at 5? Because I know how it is working for a temp agency. If they don't want you, if you go in at 5, they're going to want you to leave early as fuck because they ain't going to pay you overtime.
Oh, no, they're not going to want you to leave early.
If you're going
they're
in
going to want you to go in from like 8 to 4.
That's what I'm saying.
And if you get there at 6,
one, they're not going to approve you
2.
going in at 5.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you did, they're going to want you to leave at what? At noon. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, an 8-hour day, get the fuck out of here.
If you're going in at 5, in your situation, if you're going in at 5, it's to get shit done. That's not part of your job. It's to do that extracurricular.
You have a call with somebody else in a different time zone that like you have to be there and something stupid, right?
Well, no, because Tito gave me the same advice that Dad gave me, right? I mean, I never like to use this podcast as a source of like my.
Don't
as like my actual job and whatnot, right? But we're getting into it a little bit, right? But Dad and Tito have told me the same thing. And you've told me the same thing, man. You were like, hey, man, if you go to work, do the work they're asking you for, right? You're not going to get brownie points for fucking studying LM6000s or LM25.
No, but, so
Dad told me the same thing. He was, hey, man,
I've never told you don't study, but
Dad
study on your own time.
No, because he called me in the COVID, right? He called me. I was like, it was like 2 o'clock, something like that. And I'm like, the binder, dude. The fucking holy art thou badass binder.
You're stealing our shit. We got to delete this part of the podcast.
Delete this part. We're going to get all sued.
I made so many copies.
People gave me a badass binder
it's like
with
a study
like a bunch
guide
of
for
notes about the
newcomers.
LM6025, LMS100. And Dad called me one day. He goes, because my dad also has been around the block. He was giving me documents and all that, right? Goddamn, Dad, I'm so sorry. Don't get arrested for me, right?
We definitely got to delete this part.
we got to erase this part. He gave it to me, and I was like, he's like, who gave you this? You know, I was like, hey, Tito. You know, he told me, you know, this is what he used to study the business, and I was like, he gave it to me. I'm gonna study the business. He goes, all right, man. He goes, hey, it's awesome that you're trying to learn all this. He goes, but here's my only advice to you. My only advice is that if you're gonna study this material, do it after hours, right? He goes, don't let anybody in your day to day like see you. He's like, don't ever be this is before COVID, right? He goes, don't ever be at your desk and studying, trying to like, have videos on. And honestly, dude, I gotta be at, you know, forever who are watching
porn.
me. I've done this in the past, right? Like at 2 o'clock, I'm watching fucking videos on LM6000. I know people are watching,
but you're in a different world. You're in a different world because your boss is not there anymore. Like it's.
Oh yeah.
The guys that you report to aren't there. So, by all means, I'll put it to you this way: you studying those books is not part of your job scope. It's not gonna help you get.
And at the end of the day, if I'm studying that and I forget to invoice this customer, they're gonna be, goddamn man, what were you doing? Oh, I was studying LM6000. Well, we didn't ask you to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's not gonna help you with your current job scope. And if your boss sees any drop in your production for what he hired you for, he's gonna be like, why the fuck are you doing that and not focusing on this?
You to do that.
But where that will come into play and where it will benefit you is for the day of tomorrow when you apply for a different position. You're gonna have that upper hand on other folks. So right now, I'll tell you right now, I'm applying for sales jobs. That it was for the California market and for the Texas market. And the one thing that I tried doing outside of my normal work hours after I got my own shit done is learning the markets for California and for Texas, so that when these interviews come up, it's, hey, I'm not an expert, but I know
you have some knowledge
what they need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They know, and honestly, it is an interviewee. Just the fact, because I've been a part of a few interviews, not a whole lot, but a few, and we asked people like, so what do you like about Siemens? And they were like, well, I mean, I really don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
So, motherfucker, we scheduled your interview 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't Google?
Something,
You
bro.
didn't Google
Something.
Siemens?
Yeah.
Like, you should know even the washer and dryer, something. Like, you should know something about them.
Yeah.
For me, it's like, you didn't take the initiative. I'm done with you. Like,
Exactly.
I'm done. You can be a badass mechanic, but you didn't take the initiative. You're not trying to go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing for you, and I want to give you another shout out, right? And it's gonna be like, Tito's gonna be like, guys, please, please. No, it's the thing is, like, with your degree,
He's a
with your
badass,
work
man.
ethic, you're gonna be a manager very soon.
He already
The
is.
thing that I don't have is the degree behind my belt. So I get good positions and stuff, but I'll never have a managerial job, and I'm perfectly fine with that, bro. Like, I've accepted the fact that, like, hey, being a non-degree employee.
You've had managerial
I've had
jobs,
supervisory
bro.
roles,
exactly.
right, where I've
exactly.
supervised people and stuff like that. But for me to say I'm gonna climb the executive ladder, I probably won't get there.
Yeah.
But me, I'm perfectly fine with that, dude. I have no regrets. Like you said, I got not a shit end of the stick because I didn't, because it was
Even the
my
last
doing. But I am where I am, and I'm perfectly content with that, bro. Honestly, man, like.
Yeah. I hope that didn't come
man
off as
to
like
man. No,
saying
no,
you. Like,
hell
I'm
no.
commending
No,
you as a person
I've
because
talked
it's
about
like, shit.
we've talked about this before too, and just here with my own, my brother, my siblings, and my parents, we've talked about this heart to heart, and my dad always gives me props. He's the first one. I'm proud of you, man. Like, you hit me with that surprise when you were fucking 17 years old, and I didn't know what to tell you. I felt like a failure, and you're at where you're at now.
I still
Good.
remember you. Sorry to cut you off. I still remember you right before you got married. You're talking to us, and Mike, you good? Like I'm this little what? You were 17. I must have been 14 at the time, and I'm kind of like, oh, my cousin's getting married.
Badass.
And then we're outside. We're outside.
Mama,
We're outside the venue,
E-I-O.
and I'm like, Mike, you
Fucking listen to
good?
Ian Nelly.
And he's like, bro, I'm nervous as shit.
At his wedding, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Seconds
'Cause you were
before
so
he got
nervous
married.
before- No offense, Santa.
And
but
no,
goddamn.
I mean, I'd be shitting my pants too. But seconds before he got married, he's scared shitless to see like where you've come now. Like so many people could have folded the second they said I do, and just become the deadbeat dad it's a shitty ass stereotype, but it's true that neglects his kids, that blames everything on his wife and his kids. That I could have been this, but because of y'all, like it's beautiful to see the strides y'all have taken. Coming from that situation at 17, it's phenomenal, man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, man. It's been
awesome.
hard, but like you said, man, like we've been lucky enough and blessed enough to like have a pretty strong backbone and family to where it makes you want to take that initiative.
I mean, because inadvertently, bro, when you were coming up, like Tito said, like you were in this. I alluded to it a few episodes, whatever episode we talked about. Like, God damn, man, I'm so proud of you. Like, because where so many people, not necessarily did fail, but could have failed or would have failed, you fucking not only thrived, but you took care of your own, man.
Yeah.
And that's hats off to you. But like Tito said, man, it comes from this. And I don't even want to say Guzman thing, because it's only kind of been you guys who have been able to come out of the thicket of it all,
Yeah.
So hats off to you guys. And for me personally, as this podcast kind of dwindles down to its last slayings for tonight, I honestly cannot think of two more people, this is me honestly speaking, that I have looked up to, aside from my own father. Outside of my father, like, the people I look up to the most, there's that great quote that you aspire and you covet to what you see every day. And growing up, coming up as a youngin', what I aspired to, what I, coveted me, I'm jealous of you guys, was my older brother Michael and my older cousin Hector, and Oscar too, right? When I get Oscar on this podcast, I'll kiss his ass too, right? 'Cause that dude's been my...
You gotta get him on.
We're gonna get him on, right? Regardless if he wants to or not, because that dude's been my role model. But even before him, you, Tito, and Mike being my role model. So it's been a long and an awaited thank you, but thank you guys so much for being my role models, man. And I want to ask you, man, because for those who are watching, obviously we did a terrible job today. We had a great conversation, but we did a terrible job of kind of extracting who's the guy behind the myth, right? Who's the guy behind the legend?
Mask, right?
No, okay, honestly, dude,
It's
because
like,
you gotta
it's
know.
like
You
fucking,
know.
It's like we got Bruce Wayne.
It's
but
like we got Bruce Wayne, but we didn't ask him about
you know what I
Batman. Like, God damn it, man. We have a legend.
We're gonna be editing tonight and like, fuck.
Like, that's what we asked him? No, man. But before we go, like, because obviously, dude, regardless, he's a humble mother effer, right? Jonathan, I'm trying not to curse too much. He's a humble... Sorry, Jonathan. He's a humble motherfucker, right? Everybody aspires to be similar to Tito. Everybody who he knows tries to, you know, get to his level. My question to you, man, is like...
Where's your... Oh, yeah? Go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, he's listening. All right. Ooh, he's listening. He's listening. My question, because my cousin, Hector, who went to go... I don't know what the fuck he did right now. He went to go... Oh, he went to go get a brewski.
In the little
oh, my
personal
God.
cooler. Appreciate
it even proves his legend even more. He went to go give my brother a beer. You have this innate sense of, I said it before, not only leading, but I don't even know if you're aware of it, man, that you pull a certain amount of people to you, that people care what you do. And as far-fetched as it may seem, and I'm not just trying to kiss your ass, this is something I've been wanting to tell you for the last 10, 12 years, you know, but when you're coming up as a youngin', you're like, God damn, I can't kiss his ass too much, so I'm look like a bitch or something. Gay, exactly, right? Like, you say that, you're
I've been there.
Exactly. But no, man, all hats off to you, dude.
You've
been able to handle yourself in a way that, going back to when you said you were 14 or 15, you've been able to handle yourself in such a way that it's led you to having all these people, you know, admire you, respect you, follow you, man. How do you deal with the weight of it all, man? Do you even think about that? Or do you even just like, hey, man, my day-to-day... Because I told these guys, like, he has to be thinking very one-dimensionally. Like, he has to be thinking, hey, I have this job. When I go to work, I'm going to take care of my job. When I go home, I'm going to take care of my wife. After I take care of my wife, I'm going to take care of myself and go exercise.
One-dimensional, because I think he's more than capable of, like, looking at a whole bunch of tasks at hand, but I think when he gets in the zone of it being at home, taking care of his wife, when he has kids at work now.
But he's been doing this for 15
like,
plus
I think
years.
He has the capability of, like, fucking zoning in on the task at hand and knocks it out the park, right?
Yeah,
and you gave credit to where credit's due, right? You said your father, your family's history.
For sure. Yeah.
But there has to be something.
And the moms. Our moms are pretty
no
strong,
doubt.
bro.
Those are the
Like,
they might not have been pushing us,
man.
but those were the ones that, okay, if you knew you failed or you didn't live up to what you thought your expectations were, Mama was going to be there to take care of you.
But there has to be a little something extra that kind of gives you that. What distinguishes you from every other hardworking college guy that there is?
Again,
right? I mean, what made you become the UTSA TEAC president? What made you become a badass worker?
Again,
what made you become the
I appreciate
the pinnacle of the Guzman family that everybody says, like, hey, man, if you're going to do it right, look at Tito, he did it right. Man.
I appreciate everything you're saying, Matt, and I really do. I truly thank you for saying those kind words, but I think more than... First and foremost, I don't see myself as that. It's kind of... It's tough to put in words. It's just
yeah, I mean, you have to feel it sometimes, no? That, hey, man, like, everybody looks up to me, kind of. I have this following, right? I mean, I've been out with you a few times, right? A handful of times, we can say. And when I'm out with you, you know, my philosophical ways, I'm just analyzing. I'm like, and I told you a couple of times before in my drunken haze, I'm like, hey, man, Hector. I call him Tito, obviously. I'm like, hey, Tito, bro. Like, all these guys that are here with us tonight at the bar, they all look up to you, man. They're following your lead.
Assuming everything you're saying is true,
Which it is.
Assuming everything you say is true, and I actually give you that point. I think one of the big things that growing up, my dad was just always, hey, whatever you do, lead, be an example, be a good example for your brother. And so kind of just as day one, it was do everything right so that your brother follows in your footsteps, and he progresses further than you. Because it wasn't just, hey, do everything right so that your brother can
succeed
himself.
Exactly.
No, it was do everything right so your brother can succeed and surpass you, which
because
I think
your dad knew.
Which
that
I think
your brother Oscar was
which I
following
think
you.
he has. Like I look at Oscar and I'm so fucking excuse my language, fucking proud of the kid. Like Oscar was never handed anything to him. He had to fucking earn every single thing that that he's earned. It wasn't easy for him. Like for me, I felt like I was kind of like naturally smart, math, English, whatever. Like it just kind of clicked to me. Oscar and my dad would sit at that table till 2, 3 in the morning and fucking grind out that homework while I'm just fucking.
It's like going to town on themselves.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So like that, seeing Oscar do that means so much
a great
more than me
accomplishment.
just being able to fucking pick it up. So like
It's
it was just always since day one. It was my pops. Do everything. You're the oldest. Do everything to be a good example for your younger siblings.
Yeah.
But even then, it was just like, don't ever think you're better than someone. It was
Yeah.
just fucking go out there, do your best, and help others. That's
Yeah.
really, again, I hate the fact that it sounds so simple, but it was really just do your best, help others, and God will take care of the rest. Like there's-
man, my brother.
Again, I hate making it sound so simplistic, but that's just really,
Really
all
what's
I
going
live
through your
by.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's doing your best to help your wife, doing your best to help your future children, doing your best to help your siblings, whatever. The bum on the street, like, just do your best. Like, do your best, and God will return the favors tenfold. Like it's there's
It
nothing
says in
more
the
to
good
it.
book
Yeah.
itself, man.
Like I mean, I'm not even gonna say it, but there's things that I do that I don't like talking about because again, my dad just said help others, whether it's
Yeah.
That's what
giving
it's
a
all about,
five
man.
to the guy on the side of the street or helping
Those who are closest to you, man.
other things. I just
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
And
we can't
and I
really-
think that's
love that.
a good as an no, honestly,
No,
dude.
no.
You
I
said it-
apologize.
You
Is
said
that
no,
the
no. You
answer
said
you
it
wanted?
better
It's
than
just-
anybody could have.
it's
That's what it's all
honestly.
about, bro. And
Yeah.
honestly, like, there's nothing. I don't know what I'm fishing for.
Yeah.
Matthew doesn't either.
Yeah.
We're just honestly asking,
Yeah.
like, 'cause we see that drive in
Yeah.
you, right?
I'm scared of
And
shit right
some
now.
people-
Like we're in a pandemic. I'm getting ready to buy a house with my wife, and I'm like, who am I to think I'm gonna have a job tomorrow,
Yeah.
the next week,
You'll have a
6
job,
months
brother.
from now? No,
You'll have a job.
but and I might not have a job. I might lose my job, but I know as long as I keep pushing, as long as I keep
It'll work
trying,
itself out,
it'll all play out. And,
The
and we've
thing-
we've had other good role models in like Salito. Salito's my guy. Like whenever I'm in a hard predicament, what does Salito do? Salito worked
Cool,
his ass
calm, and
off. He did
collected,
his thing.
man.
They're like
Cool, calm, and collected.
we have
Shout
so
out to
many.
Salito. We love you.
Shout out to Salih. That's my
yeah,
guy too.
And
Man.
Salito's the man, and I just you just
I know you asked him to speak something at your wedding, and when he didn't,
That
I was like,
fucker.
I'm gonna be the backup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I was
wasn't.
like, I'll be the backup to Mike too. And like, hey, Brianna, do you have any? Brianna, do you have any cousins who love
She's
me?
like, no, we'll just skip that part.
Yeah, we'll skip it. We can deduct it.
nah, but you could
Yeah,
Yeah.
nah, you know.
whether people you think highly of people or not, like you can pull something good out of everyone, and it's just
Everybody has something to bring to the table.
and you got to let them know that like you people can be
trust.
down in the dumps. Like I've had times where I just feel like a piece of shit and I'm worthless, but someone will come out and I mean this podcast right now. I mean right now I'm in the middle of interviewing for jobs and I'm just kind of wondering like shit am I good enough to go to the next level?
God
but
damn, don't interview. Keep going forward, motherfucker.
Nah,
Yeah,
but
but
you
it's
mean
like-
in the internal, right?
yeah. But,
Oh, okay.
yeah, but like
If
like-
Tito does good, I do good.
there's times because the first thing people see is that he's young, he doesn't have the experience, so like
No,
naturally you start
It's
kind of
going back
thinking
to-
that shit. But when you hear shit like this, it's kind of like it gives you the fucking strength. Like man, fuck what they think. Let's
Hey,
move
dude.
on to
Yeah.
the next step.
If,
Let's
honestly,
if
do
man,
me
shit.
and
like I
Michael
told you,
honestly
man,
know
like,
anything, it's bro, you can conquer the fucking world, man.
I told your dad. I think I told you too. Like I applied at GE not too long ago, a few months ago, all before this pandemic hit, and my boss was gonna be in Italy,
Mhm.
so I fucking Skyped with him. He liked me, right? I went to J Port, interviewed,
Yeah.
and honestly, the position was for somebody for like 25 plus years with a degree.
Yeah.
So that's like I told Matthew, like for me to even get an interview,
I'm gonna
Exactly.
go,
saying something about
empty
my
the can
experience,
really quick,
right?
guys. You guys can hold it on for a
And
second, right?
we're talking about arrows and stuff. That's
No,
all
I'm not
I
gonna
really
go. I'm
worked
gonna
on.
stay here. It's gonna
And
go.
long story short, man, I didn't get the job.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, you were going to be our backup, right? But we had somebody that came in with more general experience for the role at hand. And I was like, hey, no problem. Thanks for
gonna
giving me the opportunity, this and that.
Yeah.
I could have got down on myself, but it's like, why? I have a good job right now. You
Yeah.
have a good job right now, bro.
Mhm.
So just remember that, dude. Like when you're getting passed up, I'm not saying you are. If you get passed up,
Yeah.
which GE, you look like good talent, they're gonna promote you, bro. They don't
Yeah.
want to lose you. If you get passed up, just know it wasn't the right time, bro. But your time will come, dude. And like I said, man, your managerial experience, you're gonna be a managerial guy here pretty soon. So just give it some time, bro. And like I've heard you say all night, I believe in God.
Yeah.
And He's gonna take care of you, dude.
Yeah.
You're 28. I'm 30. Fuck, I'll be 33 this year.
Yeah.
You just turned 28 or 29? 28.
Yeah.
So I'll be 33.
Yeah.
But it's all good, man. Like sometimes that's the thing too, you know. But before we just get off camera, is that sometimes, I speak for me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. Sometimes we aspire to move up or to make more money. Sometimes, not that we don't deserve it, but sometimes we look to do it. I think greed plays a part, right?
Yeah.
Greed plays a big part because I want a bigger house, man. I want a badass car. I want my kids to be in fucking designer clothes, and
For sure.
sometimes we get caught up in all that hoopla, man. I call it that now because I've had the same clothes for like 4 years, probably. I don't buy clothes no more.
I'm
bro.
right there with you. It's crazy.
So to me, it's like I don't buy new clothes unless this is my favorite shirt. I probably wore this bitch like 80 times.
I'd say about a good 72 times.
Over the last 2 years.
I don't know, Aramar, whoever this brand
It
is.
starts with an A, but I got an exact same
Hey,
shirt.
I bought it at Academy. I paid like $60. I was like, damn, that's a lot.
Bro, look at my peaches chanclas.
But,
I've been rocking these things for 3
2
years.
hours?
Hell yeah.
Like,
Oh, we're having.
it's crazy.
people
It's
go
crazy
through
how
it.
5 years ago my values were completely different from what they are today. But to your point, like one thing I have noticed is working in these not even corporate positions, but you try to assimilate and be what your environment is, right? So you try to be. And sometimes I just think, man, if I would just be myself, things would be so much better.
Yeah.
And so I get what you're saying, man. And I appreciate those words because stick true to yourself.
Yeah,
Don't try to be
that's it,
anything
man.
else. Grind, care about others, and be you.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
at the end of
That's
the
all
day,
you
that's
can
all
do.
that matters.
And that goes back to earlier, right? Control what you can control.
Yeah.
That's it. You can't pick the next hiring manager to hire you. You can't control that.
Yeah.
Just do the best you, bro, and just stay true to yourself. And that's it. I
And
think
honestly, on
the
that
film's
note-
wrapping up, Matt.
On that note,
I can't believe we're
God
drinking Coors
damn,
Light.
they were hitting you with some
My favorite-
fucking
my favorite.
knowledge. All right, man. Hey,
Cheers, guys.
Thank y'all for having me.
class ass, man.
Thank you guys. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it. John, I miss you. Oscar, get your ass on this podcast.
We'll get Oscar on for sure,
I'll let
man.
Matt
Hey, we're gonna
take it
get
from there.
next episode within the next 2 weeks. For if they're watching, Brianna, Mandy, and Anna, they're gonna be on this podcast, man. I'm gonna be asking them the hard hitting questions. All right.
That's probably when we have the most
Brianna.
views,
Am I
but
saying
honestly,
her
it'll
name
probably
wrong?
be the worst
I
interview.
say Brianna.
I say
but people
Brianna.
always say Brianna. Her parents call her Brianna, so I'm the one
That's the
saying
right
it
way
wrong.
then. God damn it.
I say it wrong.
He's like, her parents call her Brianna, but I call her Sophia. Like, God damn it, bitch. That's not her name.
The
No,
Italian
man.
stallion.
Honestly, while we wrap it up here, I just want to say thank you so much, man, for being
Thank you
on here
guys for
tonight.
having me.
Honestly, it was
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it was
an
fun.
absolute honor, dude. If there's anybody that Jonathan asked me before, like, hey, man, who are you going to get on? I said, dude, I'm only going to get on people I know, who I'm comfortable with, and who I respect. And if there's anybody who reaches the pinnacle of that, it's my cousin here. I mean, obviously, my brother has my full love. Jonathan has my full love, my father. But outside of that, man, you were the man growing up, and you still are, dude. And you still constantly prove to be this day the guy who shows up day in and day out and gets his shit done. And that is just something, regardless of the output, is something to be
Proud of, right?
proud of, something to applaud to, and everything, man. So thank you so much for being here tonight, bro.
Thanks,
we
man.
love you.
I appreciate it. Love you
And
guys
we know
too.
you're going to go on to do some
Thank you guys.
badass things, and whether it's the energy business, whether it's your personal life, you're a
Or like
badass guy.
And it's
man.
vice
Thank you
versa.
so much.
It's vice versa. Michael, you've already done badass things that have inspired me. Matthew, so
you
have
so
you,
much, man.
and you're gonna only continue to do bigger and better things.
I
So don't-
appreciate it, brother.
But me
Yep.
being able to provide inspiration to you makes me feel fulfilled. So hey, man, just keep at it, keep
Yes,
doing
sir.
your thing, and you'll be wherever you want to do. You'll do whatever you want to do. The sky's
Yep.
the limit.
Sky's the limit for all of us, man. And thank you so much for those who we stayed a little longer than usual, but that's because we only had a badass we had a badass guest right now
badass
too.
guest,
So
and
this is
we
Matt
had some
G,
fans out
Mike
there.
G, Hector G, the GforGuzman podcast. That's what it was intended for, to get fucking real. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Have a great night. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks, Tito,
Salud,
for being here
cabrones.
again, man.
Cheers.
Salute.
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 Yes,
Oh, we're
sir.
done, man. Salute. Oh,
All right,
fuck.
cameras are off. I hate you guys.
Yeah. Cameras weren't up yet.
My dad's going